decision in the red corner,
Mr. Speight. We've been threatening to do this for a while.
Yeah. How long have we been threatening to do this? That's the thing.
Well, I don't know. A couple of years now, I'd imagine.
I think you must have first mentioned it. It must have been last year, I reckon. It's got to be a year.
Yeah.
I'd say you mentioned it, and we sort of toyed with the idea. Nothing really came of it.
Yeah.
But here we are.
Because I think, for me, you are a fountain of knowledge, boxing knowledge.
Thank you, sir.
And I think it would be good for not just me, but other aspiring pros and younger amateurs to basically be able to pick your brains a wee bit.
Yeah, and I believe that's. Well, I've said this to you a lot. I say it to a lot of people in the gym that we there's lots of trainers, there's lots of coaches. The world's full of them. Every man who's ever bought a pair of pads thinks they're a trainer. There's very few teachers left. People who genuinely care about the sport enough to teach it properly. And that's where I sit. So
the first thing I want to ask you though is, what was your record? You got to 14-1 and won the, what was it, the Southern Area title or something?
I won the Southern Area title.
Yeah.
Yeah, 4 times. I think on the record it says 2 different weights. I was robbed blind. I should be a 4-time 3-weight Southern Area champion. Yeah. Super bantam, feather, and super feather. And I boxed for the English title twice. Once against Josh Warrington. Yeah. Lost on points, and there's a story behind that as well, which led to me living up there, training up there.
Yeah.
And
which we'll come on to.
Yeah. And then who else I boxed Isaac Lowe for the English title as well on Josh's undercard, live on Sky Sports. Yeah, who else?
Well,
loads.
So here I want to know, you've gone from 14-1 Southern Area title or whatever it was. Yeah. What happened? Now you, well, as we talked about in the car on the way here, so you then become a journeyman pro. Yeah.
So I have never, ever, ever put myself down as a journeyman. Yeah. I was, and people all around the circuit heard me say it, I was an in-ring teacher. Yeah. I was a teacher in the ring. I came upon this, my ex-relationship, we were trying for kids and she had no fallopian tubes. So obviously, I won't name her, it's our personal stuff, but yeah, she had no fallopian tubes, so we had to go through IVF. And excuse you, sir. Oh, and again. And because we had to go through that, it obviously cost a lot of money, and my ex wasn't the hardest worker. She wasn't great at holding down jobs, and it fell to me to earn the money. And well, other than scaffolding, boxing is the only way I know how to make money. So it took me a while to sort of part with my pride, and I've always been a very conscious professional fighter, an athlete, and I always trained to be the best I could be. And at this point, I had to sit down and make a decision to consciously lose fights. Consciously lose to earn money and fight week in, week out, which is what everybody knows as the term as a journeyman. Yeah. And that was tough, man, for me to not be that proud, man, and go in there and lose to kids
that you can beat,
that many times shouldn't even be able to lace my boots. Yeah.
Because as I said to you in the car on the way here, I've been in the ring with a lot of guys. Yeah. Who who are actual journeymen, I guess. Not particularly skillful. Mm-hmm. You, on the other hand, very slick, very skillful. You know. So how does it for me? I've lost fights, but to actually go into a ring not really trying to win, that would be tough, you know. It's tough when you try and win and you don't.
It's a different kind of tough, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because the kind of tough that you're talking about when you try and you don't win, that's failure. Yeah. And it's not failure, it's an opportunity to learn, but it's a setback. So you've gone in there to win and you haven't. And you straight away as a fighter, you put that down as failure. You put that down as a loss. But setbacks paved the way for comebacks. I never seen it as failure because I was deliberately losing. And that, again, is a mindset. It's an absolute mindset. And there was the period when I had to get my head around I was going to stay fit, put myself through the mill to be fit, but deliberately lose. That took me a while. It took me a while. And I'll be honest, you can be as manly as you want. The amount of tears I cried, like, of pride, like, I don't want to do this, but
you have to.
I had to, because at that point in my life, being a dad and being a good fiance meant more to, but boxing's the best thing that's ever happened to me, but it stops at some point. Do you know what I mean? And I had to make an adult decision between being a father, being a good fiance, eventually being a husband, and boxing. And I chose my ex-partner and the journey of being a dad, and that ended the way it ended. I'm sure we'll come on to it. But yeah, so I did it for noble reasons. Yeah. Which didn't really make it easier, but I knew that there was an end product to why I was doing it. Do you know what I mean?
So for me, fight day nerves, fight week nerves.
Never got them.
You don't never get them?
When I was on the road, never. Never. It was just, you've seen me spar, you've seen me defensively sound.
You bury.
Hands are up, my head moves very well.
Yeah. Very difficult to land a clean shot.
Yeah. And it never bothered me, because I think the fear behind boxing, nobody thinks about their own health and safety. And this is the weird thing. It's a dangerous game. Yeah. Nobody thinks about their health and safety. They think more about their record. Yeah. And the 0 means more to them than their own health and safety, which I find absolutely astounding. But that's facts. You don't hear kids going, what if I break my jaw? What if I get brain damage? What if I lose my life? What if I get paralysed? But what if I lose my 0? Yeah. And it's about perspective. When you look at it, boxing, for me, I've said this to a few people, boxing is the only thing in my life that I've loved with all my heart that's never truly hurt me. And it's the only thing that's never deeply, deeply hurt me in here. And whenever I've been in a bad place, I've always been able to fall onto boxing to pick me back up. And that means a lot. That's a big thing to say. It's strange. My relationship with boxing, this is why the way I am as a coach, because I wouldn't be half the man that I am without the sport of boxing.
For me, I find it very difficult to comprehend or to understand the fact that you have an ability and yet you're showing 50%, 60%, not really attempting to, you see, as we were talking about in the car earlier on, there was a particular bout when you were actually telling your opponent, don't drop your left hand. You're dropping your left hand. Yeah. If you drop your left hand again, I'm going to hit you with a right hand. Yeah. I find it very difficult.
You'd hear it on the circuit, like, because obviously I boxed at York Hall a lot. So my promoter, Steve Goodwin, who is a very, very good man, might I add. So Steve, once I decided to go on the road, excuse me, Steve would say, he would brief me. He would say, look, Jay, I've got a fight for you this weekend, next weekend, whatever the weekend was. And he would give me a debrief on the kid, he ain't that great. You're going to have to be a little bit careful.
But he sells tickets.
And he sells a lot of tickets. Yeah. And, this kid, there was one kid I went in with, I can't remember his name, Brandon something, I can't remember his second name, but he was a kid that sold a shed load of tickets. I think I'm sure he might have come from a white collar background. He wouldn't lace my boots. He wasn't very good. And even though I'd done barely anything, I won that fight. But I lost. Yeah. And this is another taboo thing in boxing, which is we were talking about this on the way here, about like journeymen, are they good or are they bad for the sport? Now, I remember being a championship fighter and a home corner fighter and a ticket seller. Yeah. And hearing the term, you've got to knock them out to get a draw. And I never understood it. I'd be like, what do you mean? No, you lost, mate. Me as a home corner fighter, talking to an away corner fighter, no, you lost, mate. And when I went on the away side, I understood it. And as much as I love the game, it is the most corrupt sport on the planet. It is. It's terrible. And what you have to remember is, in life, in general, money makes the world go round.
Yeah.
Everybody cares about the next coin. People stab their friends and family in the back over money, which is criminal, really.
I mean, on that note, a fight which sticks in my memory, Johnny Fisher v Dave Allen.
David Allen.
Yeah.
I had David Allen winner. I think they're both nice lads. I know Dave better than Johnny. Johnny went to Exeter University, which is only 10 minutes up the road from me, where I live in the UK.
Yeah.
And David Allen won that fight.
Yeah.
In my opinion, he won it quite comfortably.
Yeah.
2 or 3 rounds in it.
Yeah.
And again, Johnny Fisher, massive ticket seller, signed to Matchroom, got the nod.
Yeah.
And the saying is true. I mean, the amount of... I could go through my record as an away fighter and I could literally tell you who I beat and who I didn't. There's so many of them that I beat, but I lost 39-38.
Yeah.
40-39, 1 point in it. And when I explain this to people, you have to remember, this kid sells tickets, which lines the pocket of the promoter.
Of course.
The promoter pays the refs, the judges. So if the ref or the judge gives it against this lad, will he not get a shout for the next show? Is he going to lose money? Back to what we said before, money makes the world go round. All of these people still want to earn their money. So you're going to do what's not technically right for money.
Well, I've read a couple of stories about, I can't remember the articles. We'll post them.
Yeah, let's post them, yeah. In the comments on this.
About journeymen talking about how if they win, the phone stops ringing.
Yeah, that's true. That is, and that's a very regular term in the, should we say, the journeyman. You'd hear in the away changing rooms.
Yeah.
So I'd walk in the away changing rooms, and obviously ex-champion and stuff like that, capable of doing what I can do. And they'd all be like, oh yeah, I've got an easy lad tonight, I'm going to have to throw nothing. And I remember fighting sometimes where I would throw a jab for 4 rounds.
Yeah.
Literally a jab for 4 rounds. Jab, move, slip, bump, jab, because they have to win. Yeah. And the amount of times...
that's you not attempting to do anything effectively.
My heart rate probably never went above 60 beats per minute in some of these fights. And because I've been doing this for so long, I've been in this game nearly 30. I think I started at 7 or 8 years old. I'm 37 this year. I've been in this 88% of my life. I've been boxing. And yeah, it's mad. It's absolutely mad to think that a sport that's so well liked in the country can be so corrupt. And it is. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love the game. But the journeyman culture keeps people, it keeps families fed. It keeps people in business. Do I think it's gone a bit too far sometimes?
Yeah. I mean, I read another article that was talking about whether it was good or bad for the sport. Because effectively you've got guys who are not trying to win, or they are there to lose. So what you've just said there, I threw a jab, that was it.
Yeah.
Heart rate above 60, if that.
Yeah.
At what point does that become detrimental for development of fighters? Because ultimately, if you're fighting, or as a home fighter, if you're boxing somebody that isn't trying to win, yeah, you're going to develop the skills probably over a longer duration.
Yeah.
What you can contrast that with, like, what's happening now in Saudi Arabia, right, where you've got the absolute pinnacle. If you watch stuff like Better Biev
Versus
and
Bivol.
Bivol,
Yeah.
that was just the most incredible.
Unbelievable.
Oh, yeah. But
Unbelievable.
that's because they haven't fought, they haven't shied away from anyone. Really, have they fought any journeyman? Josh Taylor as well. Josh Taylor, his record is just wild.
Yeah, he's been in
Really.
with some. He's been in the best of the best, hasn't he?
Yeah.
For me, I think it's based on the level of the kid that turns pro as well. Because, I mean, back when I was a kid, to be a professional fighter, you had to win the ABAs.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, when I was young amateur, 11, 12 years old, coming through the ranks, like learning my trade as an amateur, you had to win the ABAs. You had to be an ABA champion to turn professional, which meant the caliber of fighters that were turning pro were top. Nowadays, you've got kids who have never been into an amateur boxing gym.
Yeah.
They've never tasted the pressure of an amateur show, an amateur fight. They've had a couple of white collars at the local sports club or whatever it might be, and they come into boxing 9 times out of 10 unprepared.
Yeah.
No skill, no development, no proper teaching, no tutelage, and that's where we are. And nowadays, I used to say it to people all the time, nowadays they give out boxing professional licenses in the UK like they're off the back of cereal packets.
Yeah.
It's mad. There should be some sort of... What you have to remember, it's a dangerous game.
Yeah.
As much as we all love it, when we all know what we're getting into, no one's gone in there blind. Like, we all know. I mean, we've seen like Nick Blackwell, you know, people like that who have put everything into the sport and come out on the wrong side.
Yeah.
Now, that's enough for people to know that this sport is dangerous and it's not a joke. It's not just having a little fluff about with your mates.
Well, I remember reading reading an article where it was talking. I think it was Eddie Hearn who basically said we only sign Olympic medalists now.
That must have been a while ago.
Yeah, but then you can contrast that with for example, Fabio Wardley, who has just recently battered Fraser Clark.
Yeah.
Like, Fabio Wardley, no amateur background.
White collar.
White collar.
Big puncher.
Yeah, really. And I'll be honest, after the first fight, I actually thought the experience, the amateur pedigree with Fraser Clark was probably going to do it. But how wrong was I?
You know what? I was in your boat as well. I genuinely thought Fraser Clark would just pick him apart and walk him onto shots, and he just got clipped high above the ear. In fact, if I remember rightly, he had his right-hand side to the ropes and he got clipped on top of the ear and he just went, didn't he?
Yeah.
So Wardley must punch.
Yeah. But again, he has no amateur background. He's a bit like myself. No amateur background. I mean, what did I have? I had one white collar. I've fought, don't know, 2-3 times in Box IQ gym in Dubai. A couple of small hall shows in Dubai, and then turned pro. But I've sparred Rocky Fielding, sparred Callum Simpson, sparred yourself, sparred loads of high level guys.
But then, so this is what it's about. It's like, you can see, if I asked you to shout, if you see me do PTs, right?
Yeah.
And I ask people to do 2 rounds on the rope, 2 rounds shadow. So the rope just gets them warm, gets the blood pumping. The shadow is an observation period for me, an observation period where I can look at you, your foundations. Are you switching your weight front to back? How are you grounded? This is an observation period for me to look at you and see where you are. Now, if I was to observe you, I wouldn't think you'd never boxed an amateur. So that's a testament to yourself, pardon me, a testament to your trainers and the people that have helped you on your journey this far. But that can't be said for everybody, can it? And I've seen some people get in that ring as a professional athlete, and it is absolutely mind-boggling. And it's just, who's held accountable if this lad gets hit and gets brain damaged? Who's held accountable?
Well, I mean, the reality is, if you're going to spar, for example, you should be signing waivers before you get in a ring.
Yeah. And now the person that's accountable is the person that chooses to do it, obviously. But the people that give this license out and say that this person is eligible and we believe this person can fight at a professional level, after the person that gets injured, they're the person that's done it, they're really accountable. Second in line is the people that give the license out.
I mean, going back to the journeyman, you're now talking about you have to give licenses to people who aren't particularly skillful in order to allow guys who are turning pro and the ticket sellers to try to learn and develop in the pro game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's a bit of a contradiction of terms.
Yeah, there is a little bit of
you really have. I agree with you that you have to have a skill level, but ultimately, people turn pro to make a bit of extra cash. Especially where I live in Dubai, there's taxi drivers, there's other people who are they just do it on a bit of they do it as a side gig.
Yeah, it's mad.
You know?
It's mad.
And it's probably the same back in the UK.
Yeah, it's the most dangerous side gig in the world. It's ridiculous. But this is the thing. Now my take on it, if I was in charge, I need to see that you are capable of defending yourself. Yeah. If you're not that great offensively, maybe we can waiver that. As long as you can put something out there, jab and a right hand, that's not a lot to ask. But I need to see that you can defend yourself because it's a dangerous game. Yeah. I can't be chucking you in. Like, there's no way that I would put somebody in the ring. I'm like it with sparring. You see me today with the sparring. We had the sparring today. And there is members who came to the sparring that I will be chatting to moving forward and saying, look, we need to do a bit more in the gym because you're still losing brain cells every time you get punched in that head. And it's not like playing Tekken or playing Street Fighter. There's no life bar. Now, it would be nice to be able to look up and go, oh, right, I've got this much left. I've got 3 good fights left in me before I'm cabbaged or whatever the situation may be. We do not have that luxury. So as coaches, it's our job to protect our fighters. And that should be the same. The manager should feel the same. The promoter should feel the same. None of us come into this game to come out worse off. So for me, turning people professional, if you're not a good level fighter and you're not winning national titles and you're not boxing at the extremity of the sport, you must be able to defend yourself. And there has to be a way of finding that happy medium because it's like feeding a puppy to the wolves. You just shouldn't do it.
I mean, funny you should say that. I can remember watching a video of Fabio Wardley watching one of his first couple of pro fights, and he burst out laughing. He's like, "What the fuck am I doing?"
Yeah. But then, as obviously, and that's what you do. Development. He's obviously developed, and he has. I think Fabio's he's all right. He can defend himself. He's got a hell of a whack on him. But yeah, he probably wishes that he had done a bit more before his pro debut. I'm sure if we had him here now and we asked him, he'd say, yeah, I wish I'd trained a bit harder or I'd put a bit more time and effort into being more punctual and more correct than what I did. But hindsight's a fantastic thing. We could all say the same. But for me, as somebody who loves the sport, like I said, I wouldn't be half the man that I am today without the sport of boxing. So it's my job to give that back to people correctly. So that's what I do.
Yeah, now we're here in Samui, BXB Fight Lab,
That's it,
which
mate.
I have, I don't know. Yeah.
Got the hat in, get the hat in.
Which, I don't know, found a bit of a second home now, I guess.
Yeah, definitely.
Been to Phuket as well. Not quite the same. It's not quite the same atmosphere.
No.
There is some other fantastic gyms actually in Phuket called Apollo, which is on Soi Tayad. Fantastic coaches there. Russian kind of Soviet style though, which doesn't suit my my style, shall we say. At all. So if given the choice, I come to yourself at BXB.
See, the thing is I had a friend of mine, good friend of mine, Joe Varden. He was a coach at Apollo. He's left now. He's up in Bangkok. But yeah, he was out there, and I think it's all run by Russians as well. And he said very Soviet, that front hand nice enough, very much like Bivol. That's that Soviet style. Really bouncing on the toes, hands up in the air, probing with the jab. Again, like, not every style suits everyone, and that's part of being a coach. You have to understand that my job as a coach isn't to make you fight my way. My job as a coach is to take what you've got, your good attributes stay, and I should be adding things to that or tweaking things to make you the best version of you. I shouldn't be stripping you down and taking stuff off you. I just try and bend things a bit and make things work more punctual and more fluently.
Yeah.
That's what a good coach does.
Yeah. Funnily enough, Paul Weir, who's my coach back in Dubai, I posted a video of doing some Soviet stuff when I was at Apollo, I think it was. And he messaged me immediately and said, Michael, you need to fuck all that off. you need to be concentrating on your attributes. What are you good at?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And that's exactly his thought.
Yeah.
You know?
You should, yeah. You should definitely focus on what you're good at and make that better. Make yourself as effective as possible. Now, making someone effective isn't stripping them down of all their attributes and starting again. That's not effective. It takes a lot of time and a lot of effort. Everybody's got different styles of coaching. I've got mine, and so far so good.
And then you've got two middleweights who are actually coming to join you now full time.
Yes, so I had them. They've been out with me. What was it, last year? So I met Jack Bagnall. So Jack Bagnall's, what is he, 7-0 as a pro. He's just had his latest win now. He's middleweight, 7-0. I think he's managed by Mark Bateson in Leeds. I literally, the first weekend I arrived on the island, right? So I arrived, I think it was Thursday or Friday, the 12th of January. I can't remember which one it was. I might have flew on the Thursday and land on the Friday, or Wednesday, land Thursday, I don't remember. But it was the 12th of January. That weekend, the Saturday night, I met Adam, one of the owners at BXB. And he said to me, let's go to Chuang. We're going to go Arc Bar. And I've been coming here since 2010. And I went, mate, Arc Bar is not for me. Check me out. That ain't happening. And he's, come on, mate, it'll be all right. Go on, just come. So I got roped into it. I've walked into Arc Bar. My head, I was straight away, all this pumping music. It's like being in Benidorm. It was mad. And I'm like, oh no. So we've walked through, and I'm stood at the bar, and I heard a proper Leeds accent. Hey up, Jamie Speight. And I went, I put my head down. I remember at this point, mentally, I'm all over the shop. I've lost 2 kids. I've split up with my fiance. My head was up my arse, but I'm just putting on the face. And in my head, I'm going, mate, I've come 6,500 miles to get away from all these people to sort my head out. And I've walked in and someone shouted my name. What's going on? And it was Jack Bagnall. And we had a little chat, and I'd say, oh yeah, Jack, all right, mate, how you doing? Yeah. Oh, what you doing here? I said, I live here, mate. I said, I've just moved here. I run a gym. And yeah, that was that. We got chatting, and once he found out, he messaged me a couple months later, I'm coming back. He come back, he done his last full camp with me, went home to fight, and now he comes back in a couple of weeks and he's staying. 7-0 as a middleweight. I've got Troy Coleman, who's a talented fighter, to be fair. I don't know Troy's record. I think he's maybe 11-3 or 11-2, something like that. But he is the former WBC Oriental middleweight champion, WBA something champion, and he's the current and reigning Midlands area middleweight champion. So I think he's got a defence coming up, sort of end of April sort of time, and then he's coming straight from there back here.
Well, it's really a testament to your coaching ability now.
Yes, I'd say so. Yeah, it's nice. It's nice to know that people want to be here.
You've got 2 active fighters who putting their trust in you to basically get to the next level.
And yourself?
And actually, myself, I was about to say, haven't moved full time yet, but ultimately, I have to persuade my girlfriend to come on, I don't know, a holiday.
Yeah, every camp.
Yeah.
But it's good, mate. It's nice, and it's now moving here in hard times has been a real development for me as a human, as a man. So I got to discover a lot about myself. I got to discover emotionally, physically, and I've got time to be what I want to be, do what I love, boxing. And I've developed a great coach's head, and I love it. I absolutely love passing on knowledge and helping people be better versions of themselves. So all good for me, mate. Can't complain.
But both of them are moving full time.
Yes, yeah. I think Jack's back. He did.
So that's I mean, that's a pretty.
It's a big jump, isn't it? Yeah.
That's right. We're now going to move full time. Jamie Speight.
Yeah, exactly.
To be the head coach. But you're also thinking about making a comeback yourself.
Yeah. So
what's brought that on?
Like we discussed already, we've touched upon it. So I had to turn my career on its head.
Yeah.
It was after. So I had a shot at the WBC international title live on Sky Sports at the O2 Arena. We were chief support to the main event, which was Frank Buglioni versus Ricky Summers for the British and Commonwealth light heavyweight title.
Right.
And then the one before that was me versus Reese Blighty for the WBC. On the big stage, I trained really hard for the fight. Reese was, I think at the time, Reese was a good friend of mine. He's a lovely lad.
I watched his recent fight actually with Gomez Jr.
Yeah. Yeah. Reese is a nice lad, man. He's a really nice lad. Down to earth, just a grounded kid. At the time I boxed Reese, I think he was 9-0 with 8 KOs. And everyone was talking about him, 2-time ABA champion, banging kids out in the amateurs, big puncher by all accounts. And as you know, I'm not really that worried about it. It is what it is. You know what I mean? I signed the waiver. I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm getting myself in for. So I remember this dawning on me. We were sat in the Intercontinental O2 a couple of days before. We had to be up there for the press conference and all that stuff. And Conor Ben was there and Nigel Ben was there. We were chatting away with all the boxers together. And I remember being called in for a meeting, like a glove meeting where we try our gloves on. So me and my trainer and Reese. And I remember him putting them on and he's like going like this. And it's listening to the thuds and thinking, oh no. Like it's dawning on me and I'm thinking, yeah. And then you start thinking 9-0, 8 KOs. What am I doing? What
was your record at the time?
I don't know actually. I couldn't tell you. I was still winning record still. Yeah. I don't remember. But this was my sort of, I think I'd boxed not long before that. So I didn't have my Southern Area title anymore. And I was offered a fight against a lad called Martin Hillman away in his home show, which is over like Maidstone in Kent. And he was the home fighter. I went up there on my own. Me, my trainer, and that was it. And my trainer, he was a pad man. He wasn't a trainer. He never taught me a single thing. Yeah. He was a friend of mine who was always, at the time, he was always around boxing. He boxed a little bit as an amateur. Was never any cop. But he loved the sport. Fair play to him. He loved the sport. He did. He loved it. He watched it. He proper loved it. And he was coming away. I was, at the time, living in Leeds. So I'd boxed Josh Warrington. I'd moved to Leeds. And he was coming up and spending time with me and stuff like that and picking bits up here and there. And when my missus decided that she didn't want to be in Leeds anymore and I moved home, who better to pick up the reins and hold the pads? Right. So Jack got the shout. And, yeah. So where are we going with that? I lost it.
Well, you're thinking about making a comeback.
Comeback, yeah. Right. So I'd cut my career short for the reasons of the IVF. So I needed to make money. Yeah. And I didn't achieve nowhere near what I should have. Right. Nowhere near. Yeah. My skill and ability, my knowledge of the game, and that's only. I believe I've improved as a fighter since being a coach because you start to study the little bits that you neglect your whole career.
Funnily enough, a few other people have said that to me. You actually learn more by holding pads and watching the nuances of people throwing punches, and you kind of see the tells that they have. Yeah, you know.
And this is why you see me in the gym sometimes, I will get other members of the class to watch me on the pads or somebody else.
Yeah.
And I will get them, right, so there's 3 of you and there's 1 on the pads. Right, you 3 on the outside, you have to identify any problems. Any problems you see, identify them. Because for me, if you can identify problems watching other people, you can identify your own problems.
Yeah.
And that is a development of your IQ, a development of your boxing ability, and learning how to change your own wrongs, which, you know, that's your coach's job. But if you can do half the job, it's going to make you better, isn't it? So yeah, I retired on the wrong terms.
No, you want to set it right.
And I've still got an itch that needs scratching.
Yeah.
And you know what? The truth must be told. Like, I retired. We're going into another story now. So
that's all right.
Me and my ex-missus, we had a bit of a turbulent relationship. It was a bit hard, and she had no fallopian tubes, so we had to go for IVF. And I've been an athlete since I was 19-year-old. I turned pro at 19, so I've always been fit, healthy, well. My mum's got a brother and a sister. My sister's got 2 kids. My dad's got 6 brothers and sisters. So there's no problems in my family, hereditary. So we had to have IVF, and that needs paying for. It's expensive. That was part of the reason why I went onto the road. And when we were away for our 4th round of IVF, so this was May 2023, and we were at the hotel, and I was reading a book by Tris Dixon, who's a friend of mine. He's a lovely fella, Tris. So I sat reading a book called Damage. Have you read it?
No.
Read it. And
I'll take a note of it, right?
Yeah,
now.
read it. Read it, mate, honestly. And my personal view is that every single kid, adult who decides to turn professional, the British Boxing Board of Control should make it compulsory. You have to read that book before you make your decision.
So
That's my opinion.
What does that book?
So that book talks about the effects of boxing on the human brain, the side effects and the aftermath of when you retire, and you know the stuff you experience. And
well, I mean that's interesting because I come from a bit of a sporting background, sporting stock. My grandfather was a decent amateur boxer, had 55 fights, won 49 by knockout. He was also a professional rugby player for Sale Sharks. My dad was a professional football player for United. My wee cousin, he played for Celtic. He was on the books at Celtic. So I was a decent golfer. I was a decent rugby player and a decent football player. I played for the county at all 3 sports at the same time up until about 21 or something. And I forgot where I was going to go with that.
that's me and you both.
Yeah.
See, this is why I retired from boxing the first time.
Yeah, but ultimately, my mother, I loved boxing when I was younger, but my mother wouldn't let me box or do anything combat related because my grandfather, who was the boxer, had Parkinson's towards the end of his life. I don't remember him not having Parkinson's.
Right.
So as far as I'm concerned, or as far as my mother was concerned, everything boxing related was entirely off limits. So I didn't actually I didn't start until I was 31. So I've been boxing for
late in the day.
Yeah. For me, I think certainly the pros have entirely outweighed the cons thus far.
Yeah.
Right. But
Massive.
again, I've boxed now properly for 4 years. It's now, January 21 is when I started. We're now, April 25. I think if you're doing it responsibly and you're not doing hard sparring all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember my grandfather telling me, when I was younger. I wasn't much of a boxer, but I could fight, and I had no idea what that meant.
Yeah.
What does that mean? Because fundamentally, two guys getting in a boxing ring and throwing punches at each other is a fight.
Yeah.
But actually, now I know what he was talking about.
Yeah.
Because boxing is not fighting.
No.
A fight, you can go to Chaweng
Go,
and you can see it
Art
outside.
bar.
Yeah, outside. I mean, I've
Green
never been to
mango.
Art Bar.
Fuck.
But I'm sure there'll be a couple of people who are, had too much to drink and they'll have a fight.
Yeah.
Boxing, the oddly contrasting thing is the better you get at boxing, the more you realise that it's not fighting.
Yeah.
And that actually the better you get at it, the more you realise how much better you need to be.
Yeah. It's aggressive chess.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
But it's a very good way of putting it.
And this is why, like, there's very few fighters you'll meet, ex-fighters. Don't get me wrong, you get fucking dickheads in every walk of life. You get very few in boxing. You get the odd, every now and again, you get the odd fucking sausage, and you just go, oh, he's hard work. He wants to be on IFL TV for the likes. Let's just give him a miss. But generally,
interesting. You what you said this morning actually is because I think boxing, getting in the ring and having a fight or sparring really humbles you.
it breeds good people, mate. Boxing breeds good people.
You have, and if the reality is, in life, you need to be humbled every now and again.
100%.
And I think what you said this morning, I actually thought about it. I thought, I've actually never met a proper thug.
No.
Guys who I grew up with who would probably fall into that category.
Yeah.
They've never been to a boxing gym.
No.
And that's why they behave a certain way.
Yeah. And if they did come to a boxing gym, they'd never go back.
Yeah.
Because they get filled in
Yeah.
pretty quick.
Yeah.
And then that demasculates them, and it takes away everything they think they are.
Yeah.
And that has been absolutely squashed down to nothing. And they would feel half the man they would leave.
Yeah.
And this is boxing. Boxing tells you who you really are. And this is the good thing about fighters, is to be a fighter at a good level, you have to know exactly who you are. You have to know exactly what you're capable of. And it just makes you a good person. It really does.
Yeah, like you said, it's an analogy for life, adversity, You're basically getting into a ring and having a fight with someone.
Who can fight?
What are you made of?
But who can fight? And this is what people forget. I mean, for example, if we were to go outside Arc Bar tonight and say, right, mate, he's pissed up, he's kicking off, you're hard, and yeah, come in the boxing ring, I'd pummel him. There'd be nothing left of him. He could be twice the size of me.
Yeah.
But like, this is the problem we got in the world now, because everybody wants to get pissed and have fights. Everybody wants to get pissed and chuck their manhood about. It's just ridiculous.
I mean, being from the west of Scotland, Glasgow,
it's always the same way.
Basically, the idea of a good night out is you go out, get pissed up,
Have a fight.
have a fight, hopefully win, and get a kebab on the way home.
Yeah, have a dust up. Yeah, but it's the same. Like I said, I'm from a little town called Kingstaton, Newton Abbot in South Devon. Quiet. Like completely opposite to where you're from. It's like people move to Devon to retire and die. You know what I mean? It's lovely. There's beaches everywhere. Like from my front door at home, there's probably 10 beaches within 20 minutes. There's the moors. There's cities if you want them, Exeter and Plymouth. You've got everything you need there. But at the weekends, lads between 18 and I'd say 30, they go out, they get pissed up. They fight with each other. They fight with other groups. They try it on with each other's birds. It's just drama. For what? No, you don't see boxers behaving like this because you know what it takes to get in there. Now, you know, because you've had some fights, pro fights. It's very hard to put the words on paper, the feelings that you go through between arriving at the venue and walk into that ring. It is a mix of emotions, self-doubt, Am I ready? Am I fit enough? Am I strong enough? Is he too good?
Yeah.
And during all of
the
these moments of doubt,
Yeah.
you're building character.
Yeah.
Because when you come through that, your character's gone up. And you've done that on your own. You know, you've walked yourself to the ring, you've got in there. It's a development of you as a human being.
Yeah.
And boxers understand this. And this is why you look at any of them, like Tony Bellew, right? Tony's outspoken, but he's brilliant. He says what everybody else is thinking. He's just not afraid to say it. But he's not aggressive, he's not rude, he's very polite to people, he's amicable to people, he's just a good bloke.
I mean, I've always thought that people who, not just boxers, but you know, MMA fighters, combat guys who are of a decent level, professional, high level, amateur stuff like that, they're the last people to have a fight.
Yeah,
outside.
100%. Yeah, 100%. And for me personally, like for me to get angry, you've got to do a good job. You've got to do a good job, because I'm the biggest, as you know, I'm a piss taker. I have a laugh, I take a piss. On the flip side of that, if I said something to somebody taking the piss and I seen that it affected them, I'll be the first person to go over and say,
sorry.
let's have a chat. I'm sorry if I upset you. Would I be like this about boxing? Probably not. It's been a not just boxing. Boxing's a massive part, and boxing's probably the backbone of my character. But that being the backbone of my character has given me branches off that to develop again.
Well, I think not only that, it instills discipline,
100%.
confidence, self-confidence. Until I started, I mean, I didn't really start critically reviewing myself until I started boxing, that's right. And I probably drank more than I should have because I had a bit of social anxiety. I needed a bit of like Dutch courage to go and make small talk with people. Now I don't need any, I don't drink at all. I don't need any of that.
And you don't
very self-confidence. I'm very self-confident. I'm very self-assured. You know,
boxing does that for people. It really, really does. And I've been saying this for years and years and years. Now, what's my dad? 50. My dad's 59 this year. When my dad was a kid, boxing was a part of your school curriculum,
which I think it should be.
And me too. Now, back then, no kids carried knives. No kids carried guns. No kids would speak to their parents in the manner that they do today. No kids would assault teachers. No kids would even dare say a swear word to an elder. Why? Discipline. Discipline, because they were taught discipline. And discipline is probably the one thing that's massively lacking in today's society. If boxing was still a part of the school curriculum, these kids would leave school with self-respect, dignity, discipline, and they wouldn't be doing the things they're doing.
I agree.
Boxing can change the world. It really, really can. It's an unbelievable sport. Unbelievable.
It has fundamentally changed my life.
And me.
And whilst I totally understand why my mother was, dead set against it.
Yeah, my mum was too,
to all intents and purposes, I wish I had started sooner.
Earlier. Of course. Hindsight's a fantastic thing, Michael, as we said earlier.
Hindsight is 2020. My mother always used to say, Michael, imagine what you could do if you actually applied yourself. And funnily enough, the discipline that I have gained from boxing, which I don't want to say that she prevented me from doing it.
But she didn't want you to do it.
She didn't want me to do it. That has instilled things in me that I didn't have when I was younger. I was decent footballer, decent rugby player, decent golfer, and I failed at all of them, or I achieved nothing. I didn't achieve my potential because I didn't have the discipline.
Yeah, exactly. And boxing's give you that discipline, and your life. Like when I was with my ex, right, I've got a bit of OCD. Don't get me wrong.
I think we all do. I think
boxing
boxers,
does that to you. I think it does.
I think all boxers have a bit of.
I think all professional athletes, all people who are professional at their chosen sport or chosen avenue, you've got a bit of OCD because without routine, what is life without routine? Could you imagine just bumbling about with nothing to do, nowhere to be? What would you do? Really, what would you do? Imagine having no routine at all.
Yeah.
So when you have breakfast, you got no time for that. You've got nothing to do. There's not one thing for you to do that day. Like, what is life? It would just be a mess. Like, what the fuck? See, my ex used to laugh because she'd like say, you're so weird. But before I went to bed at night, I'd make sure there's enough water in the kettle. Honestly, I'd empty it out, make sure it's fresh water. I can't have old water.
Yeah.
I'd put enough water in the kettle for 2 or 3 cups of tea because I like a cup of tea in the morning. I'd get my cup out, put my tea bag in it, put a sugar in it, put a spoon in it. If I'm having porridge or whatever, I'd have that out in the morning, ready to the bowl, ready to go before I go to bed. And she used to go, you're so weird. And I used to say, that's me preparing for the morning. That's saving me 10, 15 minutes in the morning.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
it's just-
but you're doing it the night before, so you're
Yeah.
you know
So yeah, but that's fine. Before I go to bed, I just do it. It was just natural, and like, things like that. Like, I used to do stuff all the time, and she'd be always having a pop at me saying, "You're fucking weird." Wow, I'm alright with it. So
I mean, I think I am definitely weird. I've had that kind of
I'm definitely weird.
yeah. I've had that kind of I don't know ADHD hyper fixation on things. I'm not just like that with boxing, but I'm also like that with my job. I have to be the best
Yeah,
I can possibly be. I have to.
yeah, but that's a good trait to have.
Yeah,
It's a very good trait to have in life in general. Because if a husband, you have to be the best you can be.
But-
a dad, the best you can be. It's a very good trait to have.
But I probably wasn't like that up until I started boxing. Funnily enough.
Exactly. And this is everything's falling back to where we started. It's a very, very special sport. It changes people's lives. It changes people's outlook on life, their perception of the world they live in. It's more than just a sport. And it depends if you're open enough to take it in that way. It will change your life.
Yeah.
Boxing is so important to me. I wouldn't be half the man that I am without it. So I'll always be very thankful to my bullies at school and my dad for throwing me in the gym. So great.
Yeah, I mean, discipline and getting humbled is the best.
100%.
Remember, I sparred Rocky Fielding, absolute animal. Sparred him quite a lot because he's based in Box IQ in Dubai.
Yeah.
And in the first round, first 30 seconds, I hit him with this crisp 1-2, knocked his head back. And then he absolutely battered me, like up the levels. He absolutely dismantled me. Couldn't get away from him.
He's a big lad as well.
Yeah, well, he's obviously. I mean, he did fight at super middle, but he's
What is he,
retired
6'3"?
now. 6'3", now probably weighs about 90 kg, something like that.
Yeah,
so
he's a big lump.
So how he made 76, I have absolutely no idea. But yeah, you need to be humbled like that.
Yeah. It lets you know where you are and what you're doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's important in life. No, it's important in life. Not just everything that I go through in boxing, or I've been through in boxing. That's resonated in my life outside of boxing, and going through the stuff that I've gone through. Would I have been able to cope with it without everything that boxing's given me?
Yeah.
Probably not. So we were just, before we went off on the tangent, we were talking about...
Yeah, I'm just checking on my wee
just
notes
checking
before
the
I
notes,
see what
that's
I
what I did there. I just checked on mine that you sent me.
Yeah.
A missed call off my mum. She'll have to hang on a minute. Cheers, mother. We were talking about going on the road, was it that? Yeah, and so I went on the road for the IVF, and then I needed to earn the money, simple as that. And we got to...
Which, and I'm going to jump in here. I talked to Paul Weir about that when I was back in Dubai, and explained the situation. Basically, slick boxer, great coach, love to go to Samui, just to go learn from him. I explained that you were, Southern area title or something like that, and then had basically decided you had to go and earn money. And Paul Weir said, you know, he's not he's like me, not an emotional type man, but you could see the pain in his eyes actually, and he's like, that's terrible. I hate to hear that, Michael.
Yeah, it was bad. But again, I'm a man and I'm accountable for my own actions, and I made that choice. At that time in my life, being a dad and being a good fiance was more important to me, so I did it. And I retired then from the sport. We were away for our last round of IVF, so we'd had a round before that in Spain that didn't work, so we went back to Spain because it had supposed to be the best place in Europe, the highest success rate or whatever. So it's quite expensive, but it is what it is. It doesn't matter, does it? You're trying to be a dad, trying to have a family. So we've gone, and I'm reading Trish Dixon's book, Damage, about the effects of boxing on the human brain.
That's what we
see, hey, no damage here, mate.
Yeah.
Can move my head really well. And I'm reading, I'm on chapter 17. I remember it vividly, and I'm sat on the sunbed, and I'm reading this page, and it's talking about, I think it's an ex-American heavyweight world champion. I can't remember who it was, but he's passed away from the effects of CTE. And they've interviewed Trish obviously interviewed his wife, and his wife's sort of saying, she's describing the early onset stuff that he does. And I'm laid there on the bed reading this, and I'm going, I do that. And I'm sort of ticking all these boxes of early onset stuff. And as I'm doing it...
Do you remember what that is?
Yeah, it was stuff like short-term memory loss. Obviously, you get punched a lot here, and your frontal lobes are in charge of your short-term memory.
Yeah.
And, yeah. So my short-term memory, I used to sort of palm it off. Being a man's man, oh, shut up. Like, I'd come home from... I went back to work when I retired. I went back to scaffolding because it's all I've ever known, and I have a good crack with my old man, whoever else I've been working with. Keeps me fit, keeps me strong, pays the bills. So I'm back working, and I'd come home from a day, and I'd go, all right, babe, how are you? And Keely would go, yeah, all right, how was your day? Where did you go? And I'd go,
can't remember.
Oh, mate. And for the life of me, the little Jamie inside my head screaming because he wants to know, but for the life of me, I can't remember where I've been. I cannot remember where I've been that day, and I'd be going, fuck. And it would annoy me for the next couple of hours. I'd have my head up my arse, like, fucking, where have I been? And I used to palm it off as just going, well, do you know what? It doesn't mean that much to me. And because it doesn't mean that much to me, I don't cement it in my head. I don't cement it in my head because it doesn't matter that much.
Yeah, I mean, I would...
Partially agree with that.
Well, no, I would argue that probably happens to quite a lot of people who don't box.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, correlation doesn't necessarily mean causation.
No, of course, yeah. So that was where I was, and I'm reading this book and this saying all these things, and I'm mentally ticking them off, going, I do that. Fuck. And I sort of, all my hair stood up. And in my head, I had a conversation with myself and said, like, I'm away here for my 4th round of IVF. This has cost me well over 20 grand altogether. I want to be a dad so badly. The only real thing that I've been put on this earth to be is a dad, and I'll be a fantastic dad, and that's exactly why I'm sat here. So I now need to make an adult decision.
Yeah.
And I passed the book. I said to Keely, I said, have a read of that. And she read it, and she looked over and she went, you know what I think? And I went back to the room that night, and I sat on my bed. It took me about 3 hours. I cried. And I mean cried. I cried my eyes out. I was like reliving my career and bits that I'd wasted, and all the highlights, the good bits, the bad bits, and just typing out this message because I wanted to put something on social media because I don't have the time of day to ring everybody and tell everybody. So I just wanted to announce it. And I've probably still got it on my phone. I could probably get it up. Anyway, I typed this message out and I put it out there, and I cried myself to sleep. And my missus, I remember saying to me that, like, oh, you're still crying? What are you crying for? You can stop now. Are you being a bit silly? And I was like, whoa, this is all I've known since I was a boy. This has been my dream from being a child since I first watched Mike Tyson at about 5 or 6 years old with my dad, who was obsessed. That got me into boxing. That's what I wanted boxing, because every boy wants to be their dad. Yeah. My dad loved Mike Tyson. He loved watching it, and he let me stay up and watch bits of him. And then I loved boxing. Then I got bullied, got chucked into boxing with the old man. And it went from there. So boxing's always been that stable part of my life that I can always turn to. So losing that, I was 34 at the time. And I felt like at such a young age, I was closing a massive chapter in my life. And that was almost emptying. It felt horrendous. I cried for weeks. I just felt... And in the weeks after that, what I really felt was a loss of identity. I felt like, what is the point in me being here? Really, what's the point in me being here? Because since being I've been Jamie Speight, the boxer. And I get up at, say, if it's a fight coming up, 5 in the morning, 5:30, 6, go for a run, come back, get changed, go to work, or whatever, however it may work, right? I don't have to do any of that now. I don't have to go to the gym 2 or 3 times a day. I don't have to eat meals at 7, 10, 1, 4, 7 and 10. I don't have to have protein every meal. I don't have to do any of this. The papers don't call me anymore. I'm not going on the TV anymore. I don't hear from any promoters, Eddie Howe, Frank Warren, Steve Goodwin. I don't hear from people anymore. Like, what's the point? And that is how it felt for me. It was and the tears that I cried because I had no purpose. And it wasn't until I started training fighters, all of a sudden they need me. They need me there. I've got purpose again. Yeah. And it made me feel like I'm back in the game slightly, and I'm passing on knowledge and experience to people that they so desperately need, and it gave me a purpose again. Yeah. And that got me back in the game. It kept me there. And obviously with the breakup, me and Keely, and losing the kids, then moving here, I had a lot of soul searching to do, and I had to rebuild Jamie for who Jamie is. And during that process, I got back to boxing and got back doing it, loving it, enjoying it. And I just feel like I've got an itch that needs scratching. So I could have one fight. I might have one fight and get in there, and it's just not there anymore. I might be happy with that because I've scratched the itch. I've gone in, I've tried it. It's not worked. I just wave and sail off into the sunset and carry on being the coach that I am. Yeah. On the other hand, it might ignite something, and I might pick up a couple more belts before I hang them up. So what's not to lose? To right a wrong, so to speak. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So it's as much a mental thing as a physical thing. But you see me in the gym, I've still got it, and I still enjoy it, man. It still lights a fire in me when I think about it.
What the difference between you and say other coaches are? You actually get involved sparring. You know? I mean, you're still young and slick.
Youngish.
And handsome.
Oh, what are we saying here? Look in there. But I'd say 7 out of 10. 6.8, 7. 7 at a push. Weight's coming down, so we'll say 7, right?
Yeah, so what weight are you looking to make a comeback at then?
Do you know what? I think I'll just see how the weight comes off. So far, so good. I think a safe bet's lightweight. And then when we get to lightweight, if it looks like it's coming off more, super feather. But I don't want to push too far. One thing I did do as a professional myself was go too low. And you get to a certain stage where you lose that power. It's just not there.
That's also a topic, right? Fight week nutrition, right? Because I've now got a nutritionist. Shout out Yannick McGee, class.
Go Yannick, let's go.
He does all my weight cuts for me, tells me what I should be eating, that sort of stuff. What I do find a skill in itself is really your acute weight cut on the fight week. So, for example, you might fight, I know guys in MMA particular, who walk around at, enter fight week at 78, 79 and weigh in at 70 kilos.
Yeah, weight cut.
And that is, and then they go back up to 78, 79 kilos the next night.
I just
which is absolutely
Mad.
mental.
mad. And my take on it is, now, how long have humans been around? Now, when in our evolution have people been doing that? So at what point during the evolution of humans did they lose loads of weight quick and put it all back on and still be effective to catch antelope or whatever it is they've got to do? They haven't.
No.
They haven't.
No.
So the human body is not really equipped for it. And it's okay, it might be evolving, it might be learning. I've never done the water loading business, and
Well, as a, the unfortunate reality of being a bit of an away fighter is that you get called a week before,
mate, sometimes less.
sometimes 2 days before. What weight are you at? So you basically have to walk around.
Just stay fit.
Yeah.
Which is, to be honest, if you are a professional athlete, it's not a job, it's a lifestyle.
Yeah.
And that's fact. It's a lifestyle. Now, the most successful fighters are the ones that are always in the gym. The ones that, even on their days off, they go for a run. I mean, you don't go, I've had a fight, I'm having 3 weeks off doing nothing, unless you've booked a holiday.
Yeah.
But then on that holiday, you would still run on the treadmill or go for a run, do some push-ups, do some shadow boxing.
I mean,
it's a lifestyle.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a bit addicted, but I don't think there's any other way you can put it.
Yeah.
If I go on holiday, there has to be a boxing gym somewhere.
Yeah, you find one, don't you?
So, my girlfriend wanted to go to, was it Vietnam or South Korea? And she's now sent me a whole load of boxing gyms and
Good girl.
Yeah, so she kind of knows. She knows.
Shout out, Leah. Well done. Keep up the good work.
She knows what the drill is. But I think it's just for my mental health more than anything else.
Absolutely.
If I don't train, at least once, twice, every 2 days, maybe. Well, if I don't train for 3 days, really, I'll start becoming agitated.
Yeah, narky.
Yeah.
Short-tempered.
Yeah.
100%, mate.
I start getting a bit depressed, but getting anxious, about I'll start finding something. And like the other day, I didn't feel too great actually. I've got a bit of stuff on at work, and went to the gym. When was it? Thursday night or something?
Come back, weightlifted.
Totally different.
Different bloke. Yeah,
Totally different,
100%.
man.
And
Everything was better in the world, and I wasn't agitated.
Yeah. And that's the beauty of it, mate. It's mad. I just don't get. This is the problem with the UK at the minute. Now, how many people are just on benefits, and many of them just because they can't be fucking asked. They can't be fucked. They're just lazy bastards, and they just be sat on the sofa watching fucking Countdown or whatever it is they're doing, eating a penguin bar, dipping it in their cup of tea, and then I'm depressed. Yeah, no wonder. No wonder you're sat in your front room, it's all painted beige with the curtains pulled, watching Countdown, eating a penguin. Go for a walk, man. Even a walk. And I experienced it a little bit when lockdown, I suppose.
Oh, no, I was just about to say COVID for me was rock bottom.
Yeah, lockdown. Really. Lockdown affected me bad. And I remember I was back working with my old man at the time. And I come in on a Thursday and he said to me, it's 2020 on a Thursday. And he said, right, James, this is going to be your last day today, mate. We're going to get paid your wages. He said 80% of your wages is getting paid by the government. But we're going to pay you your full wage. So we're going to top up your 20%. And I went, oh, nice one. He said, so today, after today, that's it until further notice from the government or whatever. So at first I'm like, fucking let's go. I mean, I've got days off, great. Went home Thursday. By Friday night, I was climbing the walls. Climbing the walls. Literally, mate, at my wit's end. That much so, I said to Keely, I said, I'm going out for a walk. And she went, you taking the dogs? I went, no, I'm going on my own. So I literally went and I walked around and I had my head in my hands, like in the park, just like my head was battered. And that was my first and only taste, really, of mental health. And I would say in 2021, and I think I researched this earlier, In 2021, at some point, I hit rock bottom. Like rock bottom. Rock bottom. I didn't want to be here anymore. My relationship was falling apart. Me and her were knocking heads at every given opportunity. I couldn't do anything right, like paying out money for IVF, doing this, doing that, doing the shopping, feeding the dogs, walking the dogs. I couldn't do anything right. Everything I'd done was never enough. And I was in a battle with not just her, but myself then, because you question, am I that bad? Am I that bad for her to hate me this much when I do so? You know what I mean? It's a really, really hard place to be.
Yeah.
And the amount of times I went out on my own and sat in the park on the bench, cried, head in my hands, like I was in a fucking state. At the same time, I didn't feel like I could talk to anyone. My dad's a man's man.
Yeah.
He's got a bit better since he's had 2 grandsons. He's a bit of a soft ass now.
Funnily enough, my father's exactly the same.
Yeah, but he was a scaffolder, full Japanese bodysuit, bald head, gold teeth, fucking man's man. He's had grandsons now. He's a bit of a soft ass. Which is nice because this human is fine. So I didn't feel like I could talk to anybody, and my mates would all just be like, oh, fucking behave, you'll be all right. They'd all, oh, yeah, let's go out and do that. No, I'm all right, mate, cheers. So I was lost, and it came to a head. I'll have to look at the date here. So,
But I mean, as a man, you're kind of societal norms kind of tell you that you're not supposed to
talk about your feelings.
talk about your feelings and emotions because it's seen as weakness.
Yeah,
you know?
and
I tell you what, it takes a man who is very comfortable in his own skin to actually voice his emotions. You know, and funnily enough, do you know what's helped me do that?
What?
Boxing, because I'm very self-assured.
Yeah, 100%. So I'll tell you when I text him. So I texted him on the 4th of January. No, the 4th of January in the afternoon. So what time did he text me? So 4th of January 2021. And that was the day that I didn't want to be here anymore. Simple as that. I didn't want to be here, and I'd come up with a plan how I was doing it. I wrote a note to me dad to let him know why I was going. I let a note to me mum to let her know why I was going, and I wrote a note to my friends. So I had 3 notes saved on my phone, letting them know that I couldn't cope anymore. It was too much. Life was too much. My boxing career had gone. It was getting worse, and I was putting myself in harm's way for no one that cares. Like, she didn't care. She was treating me bad. We'd lost one baby. No, we hadn't. We hadn't lost a baby yet. We'd had one try and it didn't work. But it just wasn't. Life was just too much. I couldn't cope, and I wanted to go. Simple as that. And I remember being sat. I went and got my car, and I drove to Sainsbury's local at the top of my road. There's like a street, Sainsbury's local at the top, and I parked bang opposite the doors. And I sat in that car for about 3.5 hours, and I absolutely bawled my eyes out. Cried my eyes out, hyperventilating, proper. Just, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know who to turn to. And I'm the only professional boxer from the area. Everybody knows me. People are walking past, looking in. Nobody dared come over and say nothing. And obviously I wanted to stay alive deep down inside, but I didn't see how. And I remember it come to my head now. Earlier that year or the year before, I'd been called in for sparring for Ashley Sexton when he boxed for the European title. And a guy called Brendan O'Connor, he's a good friend of mine, he's a lovely fella, Brendan. He put me up there, sorted out all my digs, and we had a chat, and he sort of explained to me about he'd had some problems, mental health stuff that had affected him, and he'd spoke to somebody. And obviously I'm desperate to be alive subconsciously, so I thought of Brendan. And at that point, I phoned him and I spoke to him, and he talked me down and gave me some advice, and he just said some correct things that put me at ease. And when I come off the phone, I think I was on the phone for about an hour, I felt like a weight had lifted. My eyes were sore, like stinging. I'd been crying for hours. And I decided against it and thought, you know what, I'll get through it. So I took myself home, and it sort of went from there. And then I managed to bury my head from that until when I lost the second baby that we lost, which was we went for IVF May. So this is when I read the book, Statistics. That was May 2023. We lost the baby start of August 2023 at 10 weeks, which for me was heartbreaking. Keely cried for about an hour and a half. I cried for weeks and weeks and weeks, but I didn't want Keely to know that I was upset.
Yeah.
So I would cry in the shower on my own where I felt safe.
Because again, you're supposed to be a man.
Yeah. But you need to get it out. So that was that. And so lost the baby start of August. Middle of August, she said to me, Jay, we'd won during that round of IVF where I read that book. She got a phone call off a Torquay number. We were sat in a hotel, 01803 number, and it was Competition Fox. Have you heard of that?
No.
It's like a competition in the UK, and they do things where you buy tickets, and if your number gets picked, you win fucking money, or you win a car, or you win all these things. And we used to have a little laugh, and it'd be like 80p a ticket, 120 a ticket, and buy a few tickets here and there. Anyway, we're sat on the beds, getting ready for our evening meal, or just come back from our evening meal, one or the other. Phone went. She went, that's an 01803 number. I said, answer it. So she answered it. It's Competition Fox. She won 10 grand. And I went, fucking get on. Well done. And then, to be fair to her, she did offer to give you some money for the IVF. And I just said to her, no. I said, look, that's your money. I said, and you've got no job. So when it comes to maternity leave, you're not going to get any maternity pay, are you?
Yeah.
So that £10,000 is going to serve its purpose. It means you don't have to rely on me. Yeah. You can get out, you can see your mum, you can see your dad, you can go and do the bits and pieces that you need to do and get about when you're pregnant, whatever. Oh, thanks, you're the best. Done. Then when we lost the baby, start of August, a few months later, she decided to book herself in to get her teeth done in Turkey. And, pardon me, didn't need it. There's nothing wrong with her teeth, really. Just a woman thing, innit? When they want something, women, they wanted it yesterday. Know what I mean? Yeah. So she booked it and she said to me, look, will you come with me? And I went, nah, I'm not going to come and sit around with you whinging about how sore your face and that is. You know what I mean? There's no need. Then we've got to put the dogs in kennels and fucking, what's the point? I said, you know what? Why don't you take your mum? She's the oldest of 3 girls, Keely. And I said, take your mum, because her and her mum are similar and they had a very cat and dog relationship always. So I said, take your mum, bond with your mum. That'll be nice. I said, do you know what? I'll take a day off work. I'll drop you to the airport and I'll pick you up when you come back. And she said, oh my God, you'd really do that? That's lovely. I said, not a problem. So that was that. So she went, I dropped them off at the airport, waved them goodbye. She FaceTimed me. That was on the Monday. At the end of August it was. I can't remember what date, because the following week was when she we'll go through that. So the Monday, dropped at the airport. She FaceTimed me Monday when she arrived, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. On the Wednesday when she FaceTimed me, there's loads of lads there. They're all these people getting their teeth done are in the same hotel. So I'm chatting to them. Well, I watched you box on Sky. Oh, hey up, mate, how are you? I watched you fight on Sky Sports. They know who I am. She's told them a little bit. Chatting away. One of the lads, I had a little chat with him about boxing, and he'd watched me box before. And that Saturday, I couldn't get hold of Keely. She wouldn't answer her phone, wouldn't answer her texts. And she went back to this lad's room, this lad, and she subsequently slept with him. I knew nothing about it. She texted me on the Sunday saying, I hate you, and when I get home, we're over.
Fuck.
And I just replied with thumbs up. 11 years. It must be noted, Keely's bipolar. She'd been diagnosed in the January that year, so we're now in August. She'd been diagnosed and been on medicine since January, and it'd been the best fucking 8 months of our relationship. She was good as gold, level-headed. She'd gone away. I checked her medicine cupboard. She took it with her, so maybe she didn't take it, but I just wonder what it could be. Anyway, I left it. Monday, she texted me Monday morning, so this was the 4th Monday, saying, don't forget to get me and mum from the airport tonight, 1:30 a.m, so that'll be Tuesday morning. So I went up Bristol Airport. They've walked through. Her mum's waved. I've got out the car, put their bags in the car. Keely, not looking at me, head down. She got in the car. They put me on the leg. I'm all right, babe, have a nice time. She went, get the fuck off me and get me home. And I just went, looked back at her mum, and her mum went, that was that. So I just thought, well, it could be anything, bipolar. She said, I don't fucking know. So anyway, I've just turned the radio up, drove home, dropped her mum at home. She got her bits and pieces, and that was it. Went in, I carried Keely's case in. I went into bed, and when she got into bed, I put my arm over, went, night, babe, love you. And she went, get off me. So I slept on my back as always, and I left the blind up so the sun would come in the morning and wake me up. So the sun's come in, I've woke up. I said, well, I don't know, 6 minutes past 8 in the morning, something like that. I rolled over, and Keely's iPhone was between us. Now, when I went to sleep, she had her back to me. I woke up, and she's facing me, and her phone is there between us, and it's open on a chat on Instagram. So I picked it up, and I looked through it, and it's talking about stuff that it shouldn't be saying. And I've clicked on this fella, and it's the guy that I was talking to on the FaceTime, and there's stuff on there that shouldn't be on there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I know all your hair stands up, and like you can feel your world crumbling around behind you, and I'm just thinking, mate, like I spent nearly 30 grand on IVF for you, for a problem that you've got. I work hard every day. I do everything I can to keep you in the best life possible, and this is how you repay me. Like, what? Anyway, she spoke up. I questioned her about it a bit. She just aggressive and denied it. Just, you effing and jeffing. And I'd already screenshotted it all, sent it to my phone, deleted it out of her outbox so she didn't know, and I sent it to her mum saying, what can you tell me about this? So her mum's texted me back, and the phone went off, and I went, oh, your mum's texted me, and Keely just went, yeah, okay, I did it. And I went, did what? She went, I went back his room on Saturday night and slept with him. And I went, kept me composure. And we were together just under 11 years, Keely and I. We'd been engaged for 5 years. So that was that, and I just said, right, okay. Tried to be level-headed, and I just said to her, today is Tuesday the 5th of September, 2023 it was. You've got till, my birthday is the 9th of September, which is the coming Saturday. I said, you've got till Friday the 8th to get your stuff packed, sort it out where it is you're going, and I want you out. I want you out Friday evening, because I do not deserve to spend my birthday with somebody who could treat me as bad as you have. I really don't. And she said, thank you for that. I appreciate you giving me some time. And I said, no worries. And yeah, that was that. I slept on the sofa for 3 days, let her have the bed so she couldn't badmouth me anymore. And she left on the Friday. And that was it. She left. And when she left, she phoned this guy who was a big-time drug dealer, apparently, from York in North England. And he drove down that night. And on the Saturday night, she paraded him around my hometown, kissing him and telling people it's her new fella. My phone's ringing off the hook from people that, I'm just like, fucking left it, cried myself to sleep. Left it until the next morning to pick up a few messages and stuff. And that was it then. That was the low. And I had to rebuild from there. And if you actually go back onto my if you go on my Facebook and look back to September 23, you'll see every single day I woke up and I put on a positive status, because my mindset was, I know that I'll get through this, because boxing has provided me with the tools and the mentality to get through this bad patch. But how many other people today, right now, are going through something similar or are in a bad place, and they do not have the means to get through it? So I need to give people that means. So every single day from probably early September, maybe just after my birthday, September the 13th or something, I put up a positive status every single day, and it'll all still be there, just to give people who are struggling, life's beautiful. There's a lot to be done. Just get out there. And I got better behind my own back. Helping other people get better from their situations got me better. And that's how I have ended up. That's all culminated to me being here. And I discovered the beauty of being nice, and being nice heals you. And that's what healed me. Being nice to other people got me back to being Jamie, got me back to being happy. And yeah. So quite often, when I went home last year for a month, my mates, have you got a bird yet? Nah. I spent a lot of time healing and looking after number one, finding me again. And like I'm just happy to be able to help other people. And when that time comes to be in a relationship again, it will come. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not in a rush for it. It is what it is. But,
I mean, that's some pretty heavy duty stuff you've just said there.
Oh, it was heavy, man. Mate, it was heavy. It was heavy. But my mates would say to me when I went home, "You got a bird yet?" I say, "Nah." "Oh, why not? Why not?" I said, "I don't need one. I don't need one." When you've been through what I've been through, the last thing you want to do is mix your emotions again. I don't need to yet.
Yeah.
And when I'm ready, I'll be ready. And I've been busy looking after me. And now, I'm comfortable now. I could meet someone now and I'd be all right with it. But it's taken me a long time.
Yeah, I mean, it's similar to my own story, actually. Had a bad relationship, had a bad job, very stressful. COVID.
COVID was mega.
Yeah. And basically, I didn't go out on a date for like probably 3 years because something like that, because I wasn't interested.
Yeah.
You know.
There's nothing wrong with that either.
And then this is going to be very cliche, you know, how you can't love somebody else until you love yourself.
Fact.
You need to respect yourself.
That's fact, man.
Yeah. Your Instagrams are a lot about gratitude.
Yeah,
you know,
very much
being grateful about life in general.
What you've got, and not enough people are grateful for their situation. There's always somebody worse off, always. Pretty close by you, to be honest. And once you start seeing the beauty in the little things, life just gets more fruitful. It's just, life is precious and it can be taken away so quick. And it's short, man. We're only here for a grain of sand's worth of time and it's gone.
Yeah.
And you get that short period to do good with your life and do good by people and spread a certain message or be a certain way. And that's where I am. And that's what I do, man. As much as I am, like there'll be people watching this in the gym going, "Fucking, he's a piss taker." I am. I am an absolute piss taker. But if one person in the gym looked upset, or I would be the first person to go over and say, "Look, do you want to have a chat?" I care. And
yeah, but I think that, going back to, I think that comes back to the ability, to having the confidence to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, yeah.
Some people are unable to have that conversation.
Yeah.
You know, but the confidence, I certainly can. I have that, you know, confidence. You have that confidence because it all comes back to boxing, which is ultimately, I think. I mean, I know I keep on banging on about it, but my life has just totally changed entirely.
100%, it will do. Let's have a little look on our list. Boxing is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Let's have a little look on our list. What have we got on this list? 'Cause it's a belter. You can pick because you're in charge of this one.
Well, right, no. Fight day rituals. Even as an away fighter, right? We actually fucking went on a bit of a tangent there.
Yeah, go on. I'm good with tangents.
Yeah,
as well.
you might get a phone call in a week or something like that. You have to fight.
Yeah.
What weight you at? You fluctuate, so you don't really get the opportunity to do an acute weight cut. You're basically, you know, you've told me before that on the one that I can't remember who you were going to box, but on the way to the weigh-in you were drinking water and eating carbs and things like that, just so you can, you know.
So this was.
But do you have a fight day ritual? But again, this is alien to me because obviously I want to win. Yeah. I have that underlying desire.
I wanted to win, but I knew that I couldn't. And I knew that I wasn't allowed to try. I wasn't allowed to take a liberty. And if you do, again, like we discussed earlier,
the phone stops ringing.
The phone stops ringing, and I need that money, man. I'm trying to be a dad. I need that money, so I've got to just suck it up and lose to these. Some of the lads I box are really nice lads and are good as gold. Some are absolute muppets and couldn't box eggs.
Yeah,
like terrible. And again, records are for DJs. It is what it is. But like, I'm far better than any of that suggests. It's just
So you didn't have any
my
fight day
my
well, let's go
only
back.
fight day ritual that I could say to you would be I'd always have Nando's. Always. Always. After I've weighed in, I'd have Nando's.
Nice.
Not so much from the nutrition side of things. Obviously, after you've weighed in, fight night, you're carb based. You want good carbs.
Yeah.
So sweet potatoes,
Pasta.
rice, pasta. You know, so I'd go and I'd get like, I don't know, a butterfly breasted chicken, and I'd probably only eat half of it because protein takes up something like 3 times the amount of space in the gut than carb, and you need carb.
Yeah.
So I'd have that, and then I'd have like Mexican rice and sweet potato wedges, maybe some peas or something.
Yeah.
And that would be my pre-fight. And then I'd get sugars in, so I'd have like a sugary drink or Lucozades to get the glucose stores up.
Yeah.
And that would be my ritual, really. I'd always go to Tesco's to get little bits and pieces, me waters and that. So I'd have a Tesco's trip wherever I was boxing and a Nando's trip. That would be the only ritual that I stuck to pretty much.
The other thing that's kind of now come into I was brought up a Roman Catholic.
You were?
Yeah. We were brought, we went to the chapel Sunday. I used to go to like, I don't know what you would call it, Monday club and Wednesday club after school to learn about the Catholic Church and the stories and all that sort of stuff.
Right.
My mother and my mother's family, Kelly, so my mother's maiden name's Kelly.
Yeah.
Basically, we weren't sent to a Catholic school in Scotland, so she was ostracised from the Catholic Church, basically. And then when I was around 13, 14, maybe a bit older, we stopped going to the chapel. But now, oddly enough, since I've started fighting, I will go to the chapel every fight week.
Yeah.
And coming from like kind of, I don't know, a legal background, I like facts and law. Some things just don't necessarily add up.
Yeah.
So I've recently got a tattoo.
I like where this topic's going.
Yeah.
I like where this topic's going. Keep going.
I've recently got a tattoo which is 2 dominoes, right? One is the 666, which is cut in half, and one is the 33, which is full. So my dad's mother and father, so my grandparents, were playing dominoes before they went on holiday, right? And my grandfather kept on getting the 666, and he said to her, if I get this 666 one more time, I'm going to cut it in half. I'll have to break it, right? They went on holiday to Tenerife or whatever it was. And he had a heart attack, unfortunately, and died on that holiday. My grandmother then came home, and you know what domino cases are like.
Yeah.
Yeah, like small little briefcases. You can't break anything, right? My grandmother opened it up, and the 6 was split in half, exactly like that, right? Wild. You cannot explain that.
No, you can't.
So then she, in a bit of a panic, phoned my dad saying, fucking hell, you come down. So he came down and he tried to snap the 33 and couldn't do it. My dad, ex-professional footballer, tried to, break it, couldn't do it. That doesn't make any sense. There is no logic, there's no rhyme, there's no reason, there is no explanation that could explain that at all. And then my grandmother, 25 years or whatever later, went into hospital as she was deteriorating, and my dad found the 33 and the 666 in her handbag. So she had kept the 33 and the 666 in her handbag for 25 years, and now I carry them on my arm.
That's an unbelievable story.
Into mental
Unbelievable.
Things cannot be explained.
Yeah, but I find like that. See, my nan and granddad, obviously Scousers, both from Liverpool. My mum's side of the family are all Scouse, and my nan was a strong Catholic, and my granddad wasn't until Nan passed, and then he felt closer to Nan going to mass on a Sunday and doing and going into the Catholic religion a little bit, and he was a bit of mass every Sunday. And yeah, for me, I think I was baptized. I think I'll have to ask my mum. I don't know, but I don't believe in any religion.
No, neither do I. I don't believe in any book
I believe in energy.
Yeah.
I believe something. There is something that makes things go the way they go. I don't know how. I've got no explanation as to how. And on the topic of that, I believe that religion is the biggest causer of wars on the planet.
Yeah, probably.
And I believe that a lot of innocent people lose their lives over a belief of a book or a script or a God. I mean, if you're Christian, God's got a big white dress on and a white beard and white hair. If you're like Thai, Buddha, he's a little man, rotund, baldy head, got a few jewels on. Allah, I don't know what he's supposed to look like, but do they not all do the same thing? Aren't they all the same person? Just a different description?
Yeah, probably.
So why are different religions fighting over this? It doesn't make sense. So for me, religion is not a tough subject. It's simple for me. I believe in being good to people, and that's that. And that's the end of it.
Yeah.
I draw the line there.
Although I go to a chapel on fight week, if I was brought up, anything else, I would go to I would say I would go to the mosque if I was brought up. It's just I don't know.
Well, it's
That's
just the way you've been raised. Yeah, it's the way you've been raised. And this, like, I'm not a religious person. I believe in something. My nan was very religious, and she would always, whenever I'd fight, she'd phone me up. I was my nan's favourite. She used to call me a blue-eyed boy. Used to love me, a firstborn grandchild. And, little Scouse accent, she'd phone me up. Hiya, Jay. Just want to say good luck. I'll say a prayer for you tonight. She would always say a prayer every time I fought. Every time. And when it came to the big nights, the Sky Sports nights, the big nights in my career, I used to say a prayer. I used to ask whatever this power is, whatever they're called, wherever they're from, I used to ask them just to keep me safe. And it just gave me a little bit of comfort. Do you know what I mean? I found comfort in that. And that sort of shows me where my granddad was when my nan passed away. I found comfort going to the ring knowing that I'm speaking to somebody who may or may not be there, and I'm asking them to keep me safe. My granddad found comfort in going to the church because he felt closer to my nan. What is true, I don't know. For me, I believe in energy, and like you say, that story's unbelievable. What causes it?
Well, there has to be something.
There's got to be something. There's got to be. How can all this be an accident? How can look at where I live, Thailand, right? You come here quite a lot. Look at the beauty. You look at the trees, the sun, the sounds. Like when I wake up in the morning, like 6 a.m., 5:45, you can hear all the tropical birds. Like, how did they all get here? Like this isn't happened by accident, and it certainly wasn't some bang. There's no way some bang. I mean, science is true. The Big Bang happened, apparently. But how has that been created? Explain that to me. It's just something that we could sit here and talk about this all night. It's absolutely mad.
Funnily enough, that's it, my thoughts on it. I mean, I just don't get it. My brain doesn't necessarily work with physics.
No.
I don't understand the concept of nothing. Nothing before the Big Bang. I think that's probably too educated for me. I would
yeah, mate, and me. It's not even education, is it? It's guesswork.
Yeah,
it's guesswork, innit? How long ago did it go on?
Yeah. Well, funnily enough, spiritually, boxing has made me more spiritual.
Yep.
Funnily enough.
In what sense?
Well, I would not. I mean, it's now the fight week ritual going to the chapel. If you had said that to me 5 years ago, I would have laughed.
Good behave.
I said, I had no desire to go to a chapel anymore.
Yeah.
And now I make a point of it.
Yeah.
Again, if I'm going to if I'm going on holiday, or that when I boxed in January in Pattaya, I was by myself, but I found a chapel, had a wee wander around the graveyard, wander that sort of stuff, and I don't know, it just kind of makes you feel a bit
safe.
Yeah, oddly.
Yeah.
If I was to tell myself I would be doing that 5 years ago, I would have laughed.
I said this to somebody who was on a camp at BXB last week, actually, and this is my take on it as well. Like, this phrase, "a problem shared is a problem halved." Now, that is probably the most real phrase around, and I didn't really understand it until losing the babies and Keely. And I've never been somebody who needs to. I've never shared my problems because I don't need to. I'm a man. I deal with it on my own. I'll go over it.
That comes back to
Being a man.
Society.
Yeah. That's what you're led to believe.
Telling you that you're a man.
And I would carry the weight and the burden on my shoulders, and I wouldn't want to burden anybody else with that. But once you actually do speak to somebody, you do feel like a weight is lifted. You feel like somebody else knows your struggle. They know what you're going through, and they can sort of sympathise with that. Surely that's exactly what you're doing when you go to the chapel, because you're speaking to whoever or whatever that energy is, and you're saying, I'm a bit worried. Just please look after me. I used to pray and I say, please just let me come out of that ring safe, and let my opponent come out of the ring safe, and let us all return safely to our families. Now that's me sharing my problem with somebody who may or may not be there. It may or may not get heard, but I feel like I have shared that, and that is a problem shared. It's a problem halved. It takes the weight off my shoulders. Make sense?
Yeah, it does. I mean, I've never thought about it like that.
And I feel like that moves back to, it's good to talk, and too many, especially back to the man thing. How many men don't speak about their problems because
they're a man?
You're a man. So what? You're supposed to just melt down. You're just a pincushion for everybody else's problems. The whole family, the daughter, the son, your missus, your mum, your dad, her mum and dad. You're the pincushion, but when you've got a problem, you just got to suck it up. Well, that's not very healthy, is it?
No.
And we now live in a time where mental health is, I mean, let's be honest, you're what, 35 coming up?
34, but I'm turning 35.
Yeah, so coming up 35. Yeah. So I was right. Thank you, sir. Just checking.
I don't look a day over 21, however, that's what I tell myself.
I don't look too old when I've had a fresh haircut. I'm 36, I'm saying. When I was a kid, right, there was no such thing as mental health. There was, but it wasn't recognised, it wasn't spoke about.
Yeah, I agree.
And I remember being a young kid, and I remember there was older kids in my close, and naughty fuckers. And they taught me to swear, and I was about 6 years old. Yeah. They taught me to do that. And my dad still lived at home at the time. My dad's always been the same. Man's man, scaffolder, fucking blah, blah, blah. And it was a Saturday afternoon, and I'd been taught to swear, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to test this out. So I've gone in. I remember vividly walking my front door, stairs are there, go through this door here, it takes you into the front room, and there's an archway which separates the front room from the kitchen, and there's a back door and an archway here, dining room from the front room, an archway here separates the dining room from the kitchen. Go through that archway, and my dad was stood on the right-hand side of the kitchen, right next to the fridge freezer, and he was buttering his bread for his Saturday afternoon sandwich. Yeah. And I went over, and I thought, in my head, I remember thinking, like, I'm not a big bloke. I wasn't a very big kid. I remember thinking, right, I was about sort of his waist height at the time, and I remember thinking, well, that's definitely naughty. Maybe if I just risk it and just use this finger, just test the water, see how it goes. So I've tapped him, and he's buttering his sandwich, and he's looked over his shoulder, and he went, all right? And I went, and he's dropped the butter knife, and he's walloped me across the head. I've landed on the floor, and it's one of them, when kids fall over and they pause before they cry? It's one of them. I've hit the floor, gone, burst out crying. Then he went, get up to your fucking room now, don't you swear at me. Yeah. And I've turned out all right. So people talk about, mental health and stuff like that and things that affect you, is it not something that we fabricated? Have we made this more of a real thing because we've highlighted it? And by highlighting it and forcing it upon our kids, have we created this generation of mental health? Because like that was like, if you did that to a kid now, that would be mental health. That would be, they'd be going to a special school and all sorts.
Abuse or whatever.
But it was just being told to toe the line. And I got slapped, I got sent to my room, I cried a little bit, and I'm now a good man with good morals. My intentions are good.
And I bet you didn't do it again.
I didn't do it again, no. I never saw again, ever, at an elder, just in case I got clipped. But this is what I'm saying. So at what point during this stage of humanity, where have we gone wrong? Because let's be honest, between us right now, the world is fucked. Fucked. On a cellular level. Fucked. Like, where did this go wrong? Do you want me to tell you? Back to boxing. Discipline is where it went wrong. Discipline has been lost from society for how long? There is no discipline. Now, in the UK, legally, you cannot discipline your own child.
Yeah.
If you slap your child, like I was slapped as a kid, your child can take you to court.
In Scotland, it's illegal.
So we've now got kids misbehaving, and when the mum or the dad is saying, right, come here, they're going, right, mum, dad, you touch me, and I'm going to the police. So what we've done as a society, if we've took the power from the parents, we've put it in the hand of the kids, and then we're crying when they're stabbing each other at school, when they're stabbing teachers, when they're causing fucking mayhem everywhere. Well, this is how we're doing. We've done this. We have done this. So what are you crying about? You wanted this. You can hit your kids. You can. It's fine. And they learn to toe the line. You don't have to smash them to bits, but a little clip round the head never done me any harm. Do you know what I mean?
It
doesn't make sense, man.
I agree to a certain degree. I think we've probably got a bit soft.
Absolutely
generally.
gone soft. It's gone mad.
I won't mention any names for incriminating myself,
Right, okay.
but I've certainly seen some children behaving in a manner that I would not want my own children behaving.
Absolutely
and,
not.
At that stage, what do? Don't know. But I do think mental health is a serious problem, and I do also think that we are understand and diagnose it properly.
Yeah.
So obviously it's going to become more prevalent. And I'll give you an analogy. When you used to, make it was you weren't allowed to write as a left-hander, and then everyone was taught to right-handed, and then all of a sudden they brought in oh no, actually if you're left-handed you're okay, you can write with your left hand. Then the amount of people who actually came out as left-handed was jumped up. There's a fascinating graph. I can't remember it where I saw it, but it's fascinating. So the same thing applies. If you're not allowed or you don't understand something, and then that becomes not the norm, but then you're allowed to do it, or then we understand it better, it's going to become more prevalent in society.
Yeah.
So just because we didn't understand, mental health problems, doesn't necessarily mean that they weren't there. It just means that we didn't understand them. We just thought that guy was weird.
And they weren't highlighted.
Yeah.
So these mental health issues, they weren't highlighted. Nobody talked about it. He was just sad. That guy was just sad. He was just upset. He just wasn't happy. Now he's got a mental health issue and he needs to take this and this. And this is today's society. They just think tablets solves everything. It doesn't. It doesn't. Eat right, train hard, look after yourself. Your mental well-being is your job, and no pill in this world is going to change that. You cannot take a pill that's going to rewire your brain and make you feel happy. It's fact.
Yeah,
it's fact.
I mean, not only is that what is it, that you are what you eat, but it's not just what you eat. You are what you consume. You consume Instagram, whatever you watch on television, everything. Your whole lifestyle has to be geared towards, in my opinion, has to be geared towards performance. I want to perform at physically and mentally at peak at all times.
Yeah.
And therefore I have to eat correctly, train correctly, work correctly. And I'm not just talking about work harder. I mean, you need to be working smarter.
Yeah, 100%.
You need to understand your body and do what's best for you to, you know, achieve your potential.
You must have heard that saying before, work smarter, not harder, in boxing. And it's true. And that's what I do as a coach. I teach fighters to work smarter, not harder. Smart, sensible things. That, like we discussed today, that jab, touching. That's smart. That's sensible boxing. That's causing them to move their defensive hands, creating gaps for you, more opportunities. You're keeping them in a defensive mindset, which means they're not thinking offensively. Work smarter, not harder. Or stand there with your hands down in front of them so you're wide open to be hit, and then you'll miss with everything anyway. It doesn't make any sense. Keep them busy. Yeah. Work smarter, not harder. It should be in life, really. I think.
On that topic, funnily enough, I used to think that the biggest cliche, I didn't understand that particular comment or statement that seemed to be a big cliche, where the jab is the most important punch in boxing.
100%.
But actually, it is.
100%.
Really.
Absolutely, 100%.
You know?
And it's not just a jab. Like, a jab's not a jab. A jab can be used in so many different ways.
Yeah.
A jab can set stuff up. A jab opens gaps. A good jab will break your eye socket, break your nose. It can be used in so many different ways. I'm a right-handed fighter. I write with my right hand. I box fluently in both stances. My left hand has been active, moving. I do everything with this. I brush my teeth with my left hand, but I'm right-handed. Yeah. This has become a very dominant hand.
I might start doing that, you know, to try and make my left hand
keep
more,
it up.
take my left hand better.
But once you start using it more, like in boxing, every gap you create should be with that. Whereas at the moment, sometimes what you do is, not sometimes, all the time, you walk into range trying to get out the way of shots to land a shot. Yeah. Instead of touching your way in, creating a diversion to their hands, they're defending themselves, and then seeing the opportunity on the way in. Touch, drop with the right hand down, left hook over the top. It's just learning how to use that front hand. That's all it is. All it is.
You have a controversial, shall we say, opinion on fighting southpaws, which I think we should touch on.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm just having a little look on our little list now, yeah.
The fact that, you know, you are taught as a boxer, as an orthodox fighter.
As an orthodox fighter, yeah.
Yeah. Outside foot, outside and lead hand.
Your front foot, they teach you in probably every boxing club in the UK. Yeah. Definitely. And I should imagine a lot of places in the world, they teach you to keep your front foot on the outside of the southpaw's front foot. Yeah. Now, these are facts. That is a battle that 95% of the time you are losing. You are losing.
If you are boxing not a particularly good southpaw, you will win it. However, now and again, I would agree with you that the vast majority of the time you will lose.
They have the advantage over us. Fact, and even more so because southpaws are rare, so they always fight orthodox fighters. Yeah. Them being rare means we fight them less often. Yeah. So they get plenty of time to practice how to deal with an orthodox fighter, probably every fight. Yeah. And we get once in a blue moon. Yeah. So there's the other advantage. Yeah. You're told to keep your foot on the outside, but what happens is that a lot of fighters, they spend so much energy focusing on that foot being on the outside, they're not paying attention to what's coming here. Yeah. So where you've looked so much, you're spending so much time looking at that and trying to step there. You're just eating jab after jab after jab. So really, that's one round you've lost. Yeah. You're going to go out into round two, you're going to look for the same thing. Yeah. That's 2 rounds you've lost. And how long is it until that backhand comes down the pipe and you go to sleep? Yeah. It doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't make any sense. Yeah. It doesn't make any sense. And it's the same as what I tell everybody that I train. If you're in range and something's not working, why are you still in range? Why are you standing there admiring not even work because you're thrown fuck all? Just push off your front foot, give some space, go for a walk, go for a think, reset yourself, go back and try again. my take on the southpaws, which is, I take it this is where you want me to go with it. I would remain on my foot on the inside. Now, what I do is a thing called step punch. So as I throw the jab, I take my left foot. Now, we talked about this in the gym. A lot of diagonal line work. So between me and my opponent, there is a diagonal line that I draw, and it runs from my back foot sort of up past their back foot. Now, when I throw a jab right hand against a southpaw, I step my left foot along that diagonal line. So I'm coming diagonally forwards. So I step so let's say my base is 47 inches. Yeah, between my 2 feet in my boxing stance. As I throw that jab, it widens to 50, 51. Then I throw the right hand, it comes back to 47. So all I've done is I've moved my feet, bump, bump, and I've moved my head out of the line of that jab.
Yeah.
So I've moved onto the outside of their jab. My foot is now on the outside, and my right hand pulls right down the middle, which means I'm in the perfect position for the left hook to the body, left hook over the head, spin off. Sensible work. Step punch. And again, how do you square a southpaw's feet? So I'm facing the camera here. A southpaw's feet are here. There's their back leg. There's their front leg. Your front leg's here, and your back leg's here. You square their feet that way. So you're always told to win this battle of the foot.
Yeah.
Yet, if you go that way and throw the straight right hand, they go over. Southpaws expect you to battle for that foot. So they expect you to walk onto their lead hook, expect you to walk onto their backhand that way. Roll the other way, throw the right hand, push them on their arse. It's just things that people don't think about. Sit back, look at it, address it.
Because I've been coached by a lot of guys over the last 4 years or whatever. None of them have said that. So, yeah, which I find, I mean, the logic, as a man of facts and logic, it entirely makes sense to me.
100%.
You are not going to win that outside battle against a good southpaw, a good operator.
No.
I agree.
You have to remember as well, in anything in life, there's always more than one way to skin the cat. So not only that target, that's taking you off the line. So getting your foot on the outside gets the jab over your right shoulder, which means your right hand goes down the middle onto their nose.
Yeah.
Which enables you to do what? Land left hook body, left hook head. That's it.
Yeah.
So you're missing all the other opportunities. How hard is it to stay on the inside, throw the jab up, which is going to pull their front hand across, bend your knees so their left hand misses you, drive the right hand into the body and drive the left hook over the top. Sensible things.
I agree.
Sensible stuff. Then you can roll off to your right, throw the right hand, you've squared their feet. There's just other ways of looking at things. And like I said earlier, now there's pad men everywhere. There's pad men, there's coaches, there's not many teachers.
Yeah.
There's not many teachers, and I'm a teacher. My job is, if you're in my care, I want you to leave in the same or as close to the physical health you came to me in. I don't want you to have a 15-year career with me and then be a vegetable, because then I've not done my job properly.
Do you think your time as an away fighter has developed your ability as a coach?
Yeah. Because a lot of fighters only know one side of boxing, and that is the home side. And I've done both. I've been a champion. Yeah. I've been in the top 10 in the UK with some of the biggest names in the UK. I think in the top 10 with me at the time was Scott Quigg, Carl Frampton, Jazza Dickens. Who else is in there? Yeah. There was loads. It was on Sky Sports. I was number 9 at the time. And I've been that high flyer, and I've been a champion, and I've been an away fighter, an in-ring teacher. Yeah. And that gave me the ability to see the sport as a whole. I got to see the sport laid out flat, how it is. And that's improved my ability as a coach, because I see from both sides, and I understand what my fighter's opponent will be going through and what they're experiencing, which gives me better knowledge to provide them for how they deal with it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Who is the best operator you've been in the ring with?
The best operator that I've shared the ring with, I would say fighting, Joe Cordina. Joe Cordina is a brilliant fighter.
Olympic gold medalist or something, wasn't he?
No, I don't think he even medalled.
Do you not?
No, I think he's in the Olympic team. I don't think he medalled, but he was an outstanding amateur. unbelievable. And when I was given the Joe Cordina fight as a pro, I'd only boxed 5 weeks before against Roos for the WBC, and I'd lost. And it was that point where I just thought, well, Eddie's offered it me like that, nice and quick, and I just thought, well, this is the road I'm going now, by the looks of it. You know, he's not being disrespectful, right? He was offering it me because he's got a job to do, and his job is to provide decent opponents who can provide a stern test to his fighters.
Yeah. So
you can't blame Eddie. And the other thing about Eddie is that he knew that I'd take it. That's my problem. He knows that I'm game, I'll fight anyone, and I like to be on the TV. Fuck Jamie's going to take it. He'll take it. So he knew that. He knew that he was going to get a yes. I'd sparred Joe Cordina up at St. Joseph's Gym in Newport prior to him being a professional. And I held my own with him. It was decent, a good little spar, caught him with some good shots. It was 50-50, nip and tuck. He had that really good amateur style, but I roughed him up a little bit and just we had a good spar. Then obviously he turned pro and he moved to Tony Sims, and this is my fault. I completely underestimated the amount he would have developed.
Yeah.
And
so did you take that fight thinking,
I took it thinking
it was one that you basically tried to win?
Joe Cordina, and I knew that I was fit enough. I knew that I was fit enough and strong enough, but I just thought, I could cause an upset here maybe.
Yeah.
You know, if it's the Joe Cordina that I've sparred as an amateur,
yeah,
maybe I could.
But that's a fight that you went in thinking I'm going to try here.
I didn't even go in and try. I went in to find. I got stopped in round one. Right? Round one. Now, he didn't punch hard at the time. He must punch harder now because he's a man. He's done strength and conditioning. It's a few years ago. When was it? 2017, I boxed Joe. So he probably punches harder now. And that Kenichi Agawa, when he knocked him out, you see that? He's obviously got power in that backhand. It was a lovely right hand. He didn't really punch hard. He was sharp and fast. And my name, The Genius, is because I was academically clever at school. And I'm a clever fighter. And you know that from sharing the ring with me in the gym and my knowledge. Yeah. I'm a clever fighter. I'm a step ahead, 2 steps ahead of a lot of people. Joe Cordina was about 5 steps ahead of me. It was absolutely, I was like a deer in the headlights.
So I have, Joe Cordina comes to Dubai often, so he knocks about Box IQ.
Yeah.
He does some pads with one of my coaches, Joe Ackery, at Box IQ, and he is possibly the fighter that I was most in awe. Actually,
he's unbelievable.
Just how smooth and effortless the power was.
Yeah, he's unbelievable.
And you just think it's smooth.
And what's the cherry on the cake with that is that he's a fucking lovely kid. He's a really nice lad, man. He's a really nice lad. And I went in there thinking I'd rough him up a little bit, have a little good go. And as much as he didn't hurt me, he was fast, man. Like nothing like I've ever seen. And I'm always used to being a step ahead of people. And I went out and I remember he threw the jab and it was crisp. I got my hand there, went boom. Ooh, that was quick. Threw a jab back. He was gone. Literally gone. And I remember thinking, fucking hell. He stepped in, he threw maybe a 1-2 left hook or 1-2 straight, and I tucked up and I literally looked up and he's gone and he's here and he's boom, 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 boom. And I went, what the fuck? Put my hands up, mate. It was like trying to catch a housefly in the house. It was ridiculous. And he backed me up on the ropes and he just, and he must have been about 15 shots go. Yeah. I just tucked up. It wasn't I was just trying to ride the storm, and then before I could do anything, the referee jumped in and I just looked up. If you watched it back on Sky, I looked up and just went, fuck, started laughing. I literally just, because I was astounded at how fast and sharp and how much he had progressed in a short period. It was shocking. And I'm used to being a clever fighter, and I just went, fuck. I just went, well done. Laughed, give him a hug, and then I remember talking to Joe. This is at York Hall, Bethnal Green, on the Next Gen show. And I, obviously me and Joe know each other, so afterwards I had a chat with him and I just said to him, Joe, I'll give you my honest opinion. I said, if you got offered the British title in your next fight, you'd win it. And he went, really? I said, I promise you, mate. I said, you are unbelievable skill set, ability, and I wish you all the best moving forward, and I'll be watching your career. And that was that. Me and Joe Speight now and again, we stay in touch. He's a nice lad, man. He's a really nice lad. And like him losing to Carcacci, like my head was blown. When that fight was made, Anthony Carcacci versus Joe Cordina.
Yeah.
Carcacci's tough, he's rugged, he comes forward, he's a fighter, he doesn't quit. But Joe Cordina is a different kettle of fish. He's an artist, he's skillful, he's fast, he's elusive. He ticks every box. He can fight on the inside, he can fight long, he ticks every box. He didn't tick every box until I watched him chin, what's he called, Agawa. Kanishi Agawa. When he banged him out, that was the power box that was lacking.
Yeah, that was
lovely
ticked. Knockout.
Sit back, boom, straight right hand. At that moment there, Joe Cordina ticked every box of me. And I went, wow. So when the fight was made with Carcacci, I sort of went, like, fair play to Carcacci. He's done well for himself. He's come from, I think he was fighting for like Motor Boxing Commission or something like that maybe before, and he got a British Boxing Control license, and now he's doing better. But I just thought, mate, that's a step too far. I genuinely did not think he would get anywhere near Joe Cordina.
That's odd because everyone in Belfast has always said Carcacci will be world champion. Everyone.
Mad, isn't it? And that just goes to show, do they see something we don't or not? Because he's not the greatest, he's not the most skilled fighter. He's tough and he keeps coming. He reminds me a little bit of, I don't want to feel like I'm bad, not discrediting somebody, because he's good at what he does and he's a world fucking champion. So he was a world champion. He reminds me of like a lesser skilled Josh Warrington. Keeps his hands nice and high, relentless pressure, doesn't give you space. And Josh is cute on the inside. He's got some cute little things that Josh does.
That was my next question. Josh Warrington. How did you end up effectively training with him? And also, he's got a bit of a bad reputation for headbutts and things like that, you know?
Yeah, he has. Recently, they've been talking about it, haven't they? About his head. For me, I just think it's Josh's style, man. I just think he's a front foot fighter. He likes to be in your face. Yeah. And generally, he wears it, his hands are up here a lot of the time. So, I mean, unless he's deliberately doing that, I just think it's luck of the draw. It's a rough game, isn't it?
I mean, quite a lot of Mexican fighters kind of do that as well, you know?
Yeah, again, Mexican front foot fighters, isn't he? And he is very Mexican style, hands up, walks you down, puts you under pressure. Josh Warrington is the one fighter that has put me under the most sustained pressure consecutively for a title fight. I shared 10 rounds with Josh fighting. Obviously, I sparred many rounds with Josh when I moved up there. Yeah. So the Josh Warrington fight, I can't even remember where I was in my career. It was the 22nd of March 2013 was the date that I boxed Josh. It was at Leeds Town Hall. I was a fully sponsored fighter. I was a full-time athlete. He had won the English title in his last fight, I believe, against Chris Mayle down in Wolverhampton. And I think he beat him on points. I think it was a bit of a whitewash, ran away with it. Then I'm the Southern Area champion. I'm next in line for the English. Yeah. Wallop, there we go. Phone calls come through, Josh Warrington. So, yeah, I was training with an ex-pro fighter called Gareth Hogg. We trained together 2 or 3 times a day, 5 days a week, spar on a Saturday for 12 weeks. Game plan, sorted, skills, what we're doing. I'm the better boxer. I'm the better fluid boxer than Josh. Josh is a tough, inside fighting lad. Come forward. He can box, Josh, but he's not the long range. He keeps his hands nice and tight and walks you down. So footwork wise and stuff like that, I was always going to win that in that sense. And I just thought, right, we'll just box him and see how we get on. We planned the game plan around that. The night before the weigh-in, so Thursday night, I'm in my apartment and the buzzer's gone. And it was Gareth. And he come round with another friend of mine, Ali, and he just come and said that he couldn't come. And I went, what? Like, my head is gone. What do you mean you can't come? He said, well, my ex-missus has said that if I don't have my daughter, then she'll go to the CSA. And I went, well, you've known this for 12 weeks. And I thought she knew. And she was coming, oh, yeah, well, she's kicking off, blah, blah, blah. I don't know whether that was the case or whether he just, and if this is not the case, it's fine, but maybe he just felt too much pressure and he felt like, because he's not the most confident of guys. He's a lovely bloke, Gareth, really, really nice guy, but he's not the most confident in his own ability. And if he had been, as a fighter, he'd be a world champion. He was an unbelievably skilled fighter. So he come round, he said that he couldn't come, and then he left, and like my head was up my arse, mate. I was pacing up and down the front room. All of a sudden, you can't remember your game plan, you can't remember your shots. Like,
well, you've effectively not got a coach for the...
Well, somebody who you've been with 3 times a day, 5 days a week, everything you've done has been based around that person. And all of a sudden, they ain't coming. I was done. I was like, what the fuck's going on here, man? Fucking hell. So I phoned my manager, who was Nigel Christian, lovely bloke. Not seen Nigel for 3 months. Nigel's old school as fuck. He's in his 80s, still doing push-ups and that, off his nut. Anyway, phoned him, Nigel, listen, mate, Gareth's not coming. You need to come. Yeah, I'll be there, Rocky. I'll be there, Rocky. So he used to call me, hello, Rocky. Yeah, I'll be there. So anyway, I drive up to Leeds with my friend Jack. At the time, he was my friend, don't speak now, but Jack drove with me up to Leeds. We got there. Seen Nigel, not seen him for 3 months. Made the weight, not a problem. I think I was 8 stone 13 pounds 6 ounces for the 9 stone limit. Josh was 8 stone 13 4, something like that. All good to go. And then the night of the fights come, I've walked into Leeds Town Hall and one of Josh's mates is threatening my family, saying he's going to kill us all and that. Just a little Leeds yob, giving it all that. I'll fucking kill you. I'll let me. I was just like, fucking. Anyway, got in the changing room. Nigel's got the pads on. As it is, my arsehole is going 5p, 50p. Because I can hear the crowd and it was like, that is, Leeds is the most hostile crowd in the UK. Yeah. It is the most hostile crowd. It's unbelievable. And in that town hall, it must have been 2,000 people. Mate, it was like Wembley. They were chanting, screaming. They wanted my blood. So my arsehole's going 5p, 50p. And I'm stressed. I'm trying to think about what we've done in the gym. And I can't. It's, you know, when you really want something and it just goes further away. Nigel's put the pads on. He's put his hands behind his back, like this. You ready, Rocky? And I'm thinking,
no, because I'm unsettled.
What the fuck's going on here? And then he's going like this. Jab. Single shot. Land the jab, puts him back behind his back. Right hand, back behind his back. Body shot. Single punches. No build-up work. Nothing to get me there. One shot. And you see me as a trainer, I'm particular. My head is exploding. And I went, Nigel, get those fucking pads off now. Right, and Jack, who was my friend at the time, he had been in the gym with me loads and he'd padded me out before. I said, Jack, put the pads on. So Jack had to pad me out. Jack hadn't seen nothing we'd done, so it was just literally a flush out. I walked to the ring and I remember standing in the doorway looking out to the Leeds Town Hall. And I couldn't even... I used to walk in the ring to, at the time... It was Kanye West, All of the Lights, right? Yeah. And then when Kelbrook took it on, I got rid of it because I ain't beating Kelbrook at the time. So I'm listening for the thing because it was the long intro and then All of the Lights. Da, 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 da. So I'm listening for that bit, but I can't hear it. No, because it's drowned out by boos. Yeah. Literally, I am being booed. I've never been booed like that in my life. It was horrendous. And I just thought... I'm just walking. So I walked, people are throwing stuff, mate. It was bad. And I just had tunnel vision because I don't know what's going to happen here. Got into the ring, Josh has come down, marching on together. They're all singing and that. It's all going on. They're like, listen, he's got the best fan base in the UK, boxing pretty much. So, and that was that. I boxed Josh and I boxed not very well, but I was the better mover, stick and move, but he's relentless. He's relentless. He's fit. He's strong. He can punch. He used to get called feather fists. Nah, he can punch. He can whack. He's a strong little lad. He can whack, man. And I think he cut me with a shot, and I think I cut him. I think we cut each other. I lost on points.
Yeah, so you did the
Yeah.
full-
I did as good a job as Selby and Frampton, I suppose.
Yeah.
But I couldn't get nothing off. He was I couldn't get away from him, mate. I couldn't breathe. And my head was scrambled. I didn't know what I was doing. Lost on points. Josh's dad, Sean, noticed. Sean's a good friend of mine, good bloke, Sean. And he come in the change rooms afterwards. Don't miss that. First, Josh, being the good lad that he is, he brought his mate who had gobbed off, brought him into the change rooms to apologise.
Yeah.
And I just said, don't fucking speak to my family again. Or I'll fucking lever you, basically. Or don't be fucking rude. And then that was that. Me and Josh shook hands, done. And Sean came in and he, hey, up, Speight, man. So what was wrong with you? Said, obviously been studying me a little bit. He said, something were up with you tonight, wasn't it? It were up with you. And I explained to him. And he said to me, look, if that ever happens again, anywhere in the country, he said, here's my phone number. He said, you call me and I'll come and do your corner.
That's what I love about boxing.
And I went, thank you, mate. I shook his hand and we had a good chat, bit of an art to art. And
that's what I love about boxing.
Yeah. Helping people.
Ultimately, I mean, I've made a comment or a joke about sparring and stuff like that, you know. You'll phone your mate, say, shall we go and do some sparring? You will effectively punch each other in the head, take a photo, put it on the internet, and then discuss how you can get better at punching your own friend
in the head.
Right?
Mad.
It is the most
bizarre,
fantastic, but yet bizarre sport in the world.
Yeah, the greatest sport.
But that story there has actually giving me goosebumps because that is fantastic.
So that was
I absolutely love that.
So Sean came in and said that we exchanged numbers, and then we're similar personalities. Like you know, I'm a piss taker. Sean's a piss taker. So we stayed in contact over the coming months. I think I boxed him in March the 22nd. I think by May, June, he'd said, look, why don't you come up here and train with us? You're a sponsored fighter. And I went, fuck it. So that was it. I up sticks. They got me a place up there to stay in. And that was me. I was a Leeds fighter. Me and Josh would run together. And you know, me and Josh became really, really close, really, really good friends. Really, really good mates. We'd see each other every day. We'd spar every Wednesday, and then on Saturday we would go down to a place was called Lindorm, which is down Doncaster way. And it was Jimmy Harrington's gym, and I would spar with Gavin and Jamie McDonnell, Andrew Townsend. Different people would come in. Obviously, in our gym we had me, Josh, Femi Fentola, who was an ex-English champion. So us three would be trained by Sean. Yeah. And then you'd have Gary Sykes, who was British champion at the time. He was trained by another lad called Julian. So we would mix between the four of us for in-house sparring, which is good level, on a Wednesday. And then we'd get fighters in, like Paul Butler came up and sparred a few times. And we'd go over to Tommy Coyles and do a bit over there. Jamie Moore's gym in Manchester, Salford, wherever it is. And then on a Saturday we'd do Gavin and Jamie McDonnell, stuff like that. And that was where I really developed fighting inside. Because before that, I didn't really want to be inside. I didn't really know how to be inside. I didn't really want to have to punch a body and work in there. And I wasn't overly comfortable with it. I was so good on my feet and long with the shots and fast, I kept it there. So that was my development of being an all-round fighter. And still to this day, Sean's one of the best blokes I've worked with. Technically, not because he's really technically sound, but because he knows how to, exactly like I am, he knows how to break down these bits of information into mouth-sized chunks, bite-sized chunks, so that you can absorb it and get on with the game.
What's interesting to me there, almost from an academic point of view, boxing is very academic. If you study somebody for 12 weeks to implement a game plan in order to beat that man who has trained also for 12 weeks to beat you, right? And he can notice that you are not yourself, what's happened to you? Because you haven't boxed like we thought you were going to box. That, to me, is I absolutely love that part of the game. Yeah. And if for somebody to know or to notice that you're not yourself.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know whether he noticed that through my actual boxing or whether it was from the way I was carrying myself on the way to the ring, the way I carried myself at the weigh-in. I don't know whether he is looking at me as a human or whether he's looking at me from a boxing perspective, but he told me something's not right with you. Something wasn't right with you, so he knew. He knew something wasn't right, and it wasn't. My head was up my ass. Imagine if I'd have beat Josh Warrington.
Yeah.
Then, now where would I be now? And saying that, I left Leeds because I was with Keely at the time. We got together in January 2023. So for the whole of 2023 and 2024, I'm in Leeds, and I'd do like 15-week camp. So I'd go up there 3 weeks, get prepped, get fit, and then 12-week camp, and then I would come back, see the family and that for a week or whatever, and then get back off again, back up to Leeds. For a few, I think about 2.5, 3 years. I think.
But when you were doing that, were you coming home at weekends or were you staying?
No, I stayed there the whole time. Stayed there the whole time. I just the whole camp, and then I would come back a week or two at home and go back again. And I was happy with it. I was comfortable with it. I'm not stuck in one place. I get to see my family and friends. Got to a point, and Keely said, I've had enough of this. I want to be at home near my family and stuff like that. Again, we've said this before, hindsight's a great thing. I chose Keely over boxing again, and I chose to move home. So I left Sean, I left Josh, I left the team. I remember actually saying bye to Josh when I left, and it was quite emotional. Like, we were both a little bit like we'd grown really close, man. Well, and you know, when you're training with somebody every day and you're both aspiring to be the same place and do the same thing, every single bit of blood, sweat and tears that he leaks, I leak.
Yeah.
And we're working together, we're building each other up to get to where we need to be. You form a very special bond. And we were close, man, really, really close. And when I left, it was like, oh. And then as I left, Josh started taking off a bit.
Yeah. And
then we just stopped speaking. And still, every time he fights, I send him a message now. Yeah. I text him every time because I'm morally intact, and I text him and just say, Josh, you're the best, mate. You know, look after yourself. Stay safe. It's the most important thing. Get back to your girls, get back to your missus. I don't get a reply, but it is what it is. I do my bit. But yeah, that was.
Do you regret leaving that?
Yeah.
I mean, hindsight being 2020, obviously.
I say no. I don't. Do you know what? I was just about to say yeah. I did say yeah. Coming through the stuff that I have with, you know, missus and kids and stuff, we're losing the kids. That's I've grown up as a human, and I don't regret anything I've done in my life because that's led me to where I am now.
Yeah.
And had I changed that path, there's a good chance I wouldn't be here. And my life, I'm in a position now where I can help people mentally, physically. I get to spend my days helping other people change their lives for the better. And there's nothing not to love about that. Yeah. So I regret it in a career sense, yeah. And a little story off the back of that is that Sean, during 2020 lockdown, Sean used to like a party on a Friday night. So Friday night used to be Sean's night. Yeah. And like, so Friday we'd go to the gym, we'd leave the gym Friday evening, he'd go, right boys, I'm going home for a party. Going home for a party. You two fuckers ain't coming. You got fucking sparring in the morning. So we'd be doing our thing. Sean would go home and get his rum out and have a few ciggies and whatever he fucking does. And on a Friday night in lockdown, I was in my front room with ex-missus, and my phone went and it was Sean O'Hagan. We stayed in touch, and hello mate, all right. And I could tell by speaking to him he's had a bit.
Had a few rums.
He'd had a few rums, yeah. Yeah, you up, Speight, man, how are you? How's it going? How's the Queen? How's Keela? Like doing the normal piss taking and that. And then we had a little bit of a deep conversation, and he said to me that I was a very talented fighter and that he loved training me, and that if I'd stayed up there, he reckons I could have gone on to world honours, and it choked me up. Yeah, of course. And at this point, I think Josh was already a world champion. So to have that conversation with a man that you admire, he became like a father figure to me, Sean. Yeah. To have somebody who's been there and done it with their own son to tell you that you could have done that is almost like achieving your dream without achieving it. Do you know what I mean? And I broke down crying. I got upset. And but it's nice to hear that from somebody who's been and done it. It lets me know that, you know, I was on the right path. And again, hindsight. Well, where could I could have been a multi-millionaire now, maybe a world champion or retired world champion. Would I be a trainer? Probably not. So that's why I don't regret it, because I wouldn't get to change there's no way that I would have changed the amount of lives that I have up till now. So,
well, I mean, there's a way you can put a positive spin on it, I guess.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Then, for example, you might not have been a world champion yourself, but you might have a world champion boxer.
Yeah, absolutely. And I will live my, my job is to, what's that little phrase I say? I say to people that during my career, I swam through those treacherous waters and able to build the bridges so you don't have to. That's my job. My job as a coach is I went in that water and I got wet and I got battered and I got bruised and I fucking almost drowned on numerous occasions to get to the other side so I could build that bridge so that you don't have to. All the mistakes that I made in my career, none of you should ever make them. And that is my job as a coach, to advise, look on and give you the best, most sensible advice possible. That is our job as coaches. Yeah. Simple as that.
I mean, I think there's a lot of things to be said for ex-fighters. Rocky Fielding knocks around box IQ, and he just drops small bits of knowledge without even realising what he's saying. And you think, wow, that's interesting. Yeah. That's how totally way different looking at it, Yeah. Paul Weir's the same. You gain knowledge just from talking to them.
And this is why when I'm in the gym, I encourage fighters to watch other people sparring or watch other people on the pads.
And what they're doing wrong.
Yeah, and I say to people, look, after this round, I'm going to ask each of you to identify something that you've seen wrong, right? Now, if you can identify problems with somebody else, you can identify problems with yourself. Yeah. So if you watch back videos of yourself, or you can feel it in the ring that you're not doing something that you should be doing, you can self-identify that and do something about it, which is you're doing half my job for me then. But I've got to provide you with that brain power to think that way. Do you know what I mean? And then I'm scratching your back, you're scratching mine, and together we go as far as we can. Simple as that. Yeah. But it's again, the boxing's give me so much in my life. It's impossible for me not to teach it correctly. I would not do boxing an injustice. Simple as that. I'd refuse. And even you seen today in the gym. There's people turning up for sparring that shouldn't be. And that's not me being rude. That's me being sensible. I mean, some of these kids have never fought, never boxed, never trained. Yeah. One lad had done 4 sessions ever. Is he? You're not sparring, mate. Yeah. You shouldn't be sparring. But then it's people just don't understand how dangerous the game is. And our job as coaches is to, first and foremost, keep you safe. Yeah. Before we even consider teaching you things, keep you safe. You've got to be safe, because the game is unforgiving. And that's how I look at it. So... Well, let's have a little look on our topics list.
I think that might be us, it.
You reckon? Let's have a little look what have we got on the list. You must have something else on there.
Well, I don't know. What time is it?
Boxing in general, we've done that.
I do know that my missus is messaging me, asking me where I am.
Yeah, tell it, yeah. Leah, have a day off. BXB Fight Lab. That's on your list here.
I think we've already talked about that, don't we?
Did we? I'm not sure.
Well, do a wee advert for BXB, I suppose.
Yeah, all right. Guys, BXB, Fight Lab, see this? Wonderful hats. They come in white, they come in black. Look at that for a fit.
No, but seriously though, I enjoy Samui because of BXB.
Yeah, mate, what we've created at BXB, Adam, one of the owners, when we all put it together, he sort of said, I'm the one that's been in gyms all my life since I was 7 years old. What should a gym be? And I told him, I said, look, a boxing gym should be a place where absolutely anyone from any walk of life feels safe. It should be. It should be a family. Now, you should be able to come into a boxing gym whether you're happy, sad, upset, and a boxing gym should be your medicine. And we've touched on this already. Boxing creates good people, and a boxing gym is a safe space for anyone. It should be. And it builds good people, it builds character, you make friendships that last lifetimes. It's unbelievable. And this is the place to come. All right, guys?
Yeah. All right. Thanks a lot, Jamie.
Thank you, mate. Absolute pleasure. Yeah. Should we do a handshake? It's like, it's like the club's off.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Over and out.